and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Can we take roll, please?
Director Diamond.
Here.
Director Hetherington.
Here.
Director Odette. Here. Director Rolfe. Here. And Director Horvath is absent.
Awesome. Do we have any special orders of business?
None from staff.
Okay. Do we have any modification of the agenda?
Do not?
None for the staff. Okay. Now's the time we're going to open public comment. I'd like to know if there's anybody here who has a public comment on something other than the warehouse office lease. If you could come up to the podium now, we're going to start with those folks first.
Am I the only one? I might get up there. Thank you.
Check.
Okay. Good job.
I apologize in advance. I did just write this, and I wrote it myself. I didn't use ChatGPT, so it's probably full of a lot of errors, but I'll do my best. My name's Kevin Sloan. I'm a tenant, pilot, taxpayer, stakeholder, and more importantly, brand ambassador of this airport. Thank you for the time to speak today. I don't want to take too much time, so I'll get to the point. I find the decision to relocate, restructure, and move staff and personnel lacks thought and process. While I see the need for additional space, I also see the additional space that is needed right across the street and already owned by the taxpayers of the airport. I do have a personal stake in this as my current office is part of it. I recently was told I needed to vacate within 30 days. I was actually told by staff prior to any professional chain of communication, and that is unprofessional and disheartening. It just came out in conversation before it was even told to me officially. If the board recalls, that office was known to be a punishment place, an office to be exiled to. That is the exact term used by the previous two staff members, exiled. That's why it was put up for rent. If the goal is team building, staffing that office or the pilot lounge creates just the opposite. It creates exile. The current sentiment of the staff is still the same. I do understand these office moves are not the board's priority, but responsible spending is, and it seems like the remodels that are slated can be easily avoided with existing infrastructure. I think oversight is necessary, and the recent financial loss regarding the multi-use aviation facility shows that to the tune of $80,000, a project that needed more thought before action. As for the pilot lounge, I find that a horrible decision. Every airport has a quiet place for pilots for rest and flight planning. To say it's not utilized is just wrong. Pilots are the customers of an airport. Please treat them that way and stop taking amenities away. I asked the board to look at the survey of the staff and look at some of their suggestions, as they may just make sense. Maybe take it one step further and take the time to talk with them. I also ask, why were the hangar tenants and pilots not asked to participate in a survey regarding a pilot lounge? As for the need for additional office space, seems like the current lease negotiation taking place regarding the lift building could be helped along if some space was carved out for airport staff that really puts them on the airfield and saves the expenses that are in such discussion right now. And to Hardy, somewhere, congratulations. Hardy just got his commercial pilot certificate. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Kevin.
Congratulations.
Okay, now show of hands. How many people? Oh, you got another one. Mike, come on up.
Well, now that Craig's here, to my understanding, the election for the airport board this year is done because we had 2 candidates for 2 seats file. So congrats, Kat. Congrats, Craig. Right? Unless we fill in the blank.
Unless you fill in.
Yeah.
Put it right in. Is there any more public comment on an item other than the lease across the street? Okay, can I see a show of hands? How many people plan to make a public comment today? Okay, given the number of people that we've got there, I'm going to limit the public comment time to 2 minutes. And my guess is that people are going to be saying things that are quite similar. If you have an opportunity to come up and you want to speak and someone has said what you want to say, feel free to say, I support that person, if you want to help move things along. If you'd like to give your name for the record, we would appreciate it. You're not obligated to do so. So go ahead and form a lineup here and we'll get started. Thank you all for being here, by the way.
Can I really push my public comment to you so you have 4 minutes? I can yield. I'm just going to yield my time here. Ready?
Yeah, go for it.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Holen, and I would like to relinquish my public comment time to Jan Holen because he has a little more than 2 minutes.
It doesn't work that way, but if you'd like to speak for 2 minutes, you can.
It's a good try. She's a good partner. Chair Diamond, board members and staff, Jan Holen, thank you for your engagement and patience. It's been a turbulent year at the Lift. A quote from a letter to our supporters: I can't emphasize enough, every one of our publicly elected board members and staff are community-minded, dedicated public servants. The Lift is celebrating 13 years of service through a pandemic and perhaps a second recession now. With your continued support, we plan to serve for decades as a nonprofit community impact hub, supporting the people and ideas building Truckee Tahoe's future. With your continued support, we plan to serve we responded to the RFP as a for-profit. We can only ask for the best market rate lease you can support. The nonprofit conversion is not a tax strategy, no income, no taxes. The nonprofit is a succession strategy. We're building a local, independent, and very strategic board. We will reinvest in a professional executive director that we had to lay off this year. The nonprofit is a community-first strategy. After 3 years at the airport, we are cash flow positive. With a reasonable cost structure, we can reinvest earned income into our community. We want to grow our support of nonprofits, entrepreneurs of all ages, and needs-based scholarships. Our family is prepared to donate nearly a decade of investment to the nonprofit, investments into systems, people, rent, and stuff like phone booths, and the generator that's worked a couple days here. But the Lift is more than a collection of stuff. The people, the human social capital is the real community asset. That is why we have invited the community to engage in this process. We want all people to feel welcome, whether they were born here or just arrived yesterday, whether they have financial means or very little, whether they have plenty of opportunities or need one, whether they want help or need help, whether they are changing the world or just trying to get ahead. At a time when our region is becoming more exclusive, we want to become more inclusive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holm.
Hello, good evening, board. Morgan Goodwin here, former city council member and mayor and founder of the Roundhouse. And I wanted to share 2 quick points. While I'm no longer a full-time resident of Truckee, I get back here about 4 or 5 weeks a year. And I love working at the Lift. They're honestly some of the most productive days that I have. But more importantly, I wanted to share with you, you obviously know the Roundhouse very well, and the Roundhouse is eternally grateful for the airport's support. But you might not be as familiar that 12 years ago, right after I got elected, I convened a lot of people that were interested in a makerspace at the Lift. And the Lift provided free professional meeting space, and it was a platform that I felt like I could really confidently kind of build on and say, look, we want to create a space like this, but for hardware, but for tools. And the relationship between the two continues to be really deep. The Lift was donating space to the Roundhouse as they were doing renovations. And so I wanted to share that little tidbit to say, like, this is the kind of thing that I think the Lift really helps transform for the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Morgan.
Hello, Chair Diamond, directors, Hardy Bullock, and staff. Thanks for having me. I just wanted to say a few words on behalf of our community. I just first want to say thanks for your public service to the aeronautical community, non-aeronautical community, nonprofit community. The support this board has shown our community has been outstanding, and you continue to do the heavy lifting to make it possible for these types of activities. I'm here to represent my support for Jan and his vision for the Lift and the entire Lift community. I think what comes to mind for me is, you have this balance of sustainability and protection of resources and the taxpayer dollar, and you have to balance all these things with the aeronautical mission of the airport. but you've time and time again shown that you are willing to engage with the nonprofit community and to take those tax dollars and leverage them, benefit our community, whether it's Measure T, fire work to improve and enhance fire, open space, Waddell Ranch, whatever it may be. The library is your latest one. I commend you for that. I think the lift falls squarely in line with that nonprofit and philanthropic vision, and I just wanted to commend you on your work in that area. And I'm here to say that from my perspective, sitting over there and seeing the activity, both the intellectual capital, the monetary capital, the infusion of new ideas and entrepreneurship and new vision for what our community can be, and new people that come here to grow our community in every way, shape, and form is what we're all about as a community. And I'd just like to thank you for your support of that building. I think when the building was built, it was always envisioned that it may be something else. And today that day has come, and it could be something else for our community. So I just want to say thank you again for your support of that space. And I would encourage you to spend whatever time, thought, and process necessary to make it a viable solution, both economically and physically, for the people that are there to be a part of it. And once again, thanks for your service.
Thank you, Hardy.
Hi, my name is Abby. A couple of years ago, I was going through one of the worst times of my life, and in the middle of that, lost my housing due to no fault of my own, and kind of tripped and landed in Truckee. And I was alone. I didn't know if I wanted to be here. I didn't know what I was doing. And when I got here, again, totally alone, I ended up going to the lift to co-work. And through the lift, I was able to deeply connect to the incredible community that was in Truckee. And now I'm in the process of hopefully buying a home, and I plan to stay here for the next 20 years. And 100% of the reason that I was able to feel like this was home and connect to the community was because of Jan and the lift. When I was just totally lost, like, I had a welcoming place to go to connect socially, professionally, creatively. And I find that the lift is one of the most important cornerstones of our community and connectivity here in Truckee. And it's one of the things that makes Truckee so awesome and special. So thank you.
Thank you, Abby.
Hi, thank you very much. My name is Kevin Burton, and I work in tech. And I came up to Truckee because I kind of burned out working in San Francisco. And Truckee and Lyft is an amazing environment. I've lived in New York, San Francisco, and I've worked in the co-working facilities in those locations. And Lyft is very competitive. In fact, I really encourage the board to pick a random city the size of Truckee and look at the co-working facilities that they have there for their community. They're nowhere near the quality of Lyft. Lyft is very well run, and it's very competitive versus any other co-working facility in the United States, including the professional top tier ones like Galvanize and WeWork. In fact, it's so well run. At first, I thought it must be ran by women, and then I met Jan, and it made total sense to me. So that's what I would recommend to the board. You've got to keep Lyft. It's just an amazing community. In fact, the only thing that I would change about Lyft, and I would make a suggestion now, is we need a hot tub. That's the only other suggestion. So in summary, I know, that's the problem. I'm joking about the hot tub, obviously. But keep Lyft. It's such an amazing asset to this community and really sets Truckee apart. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kevin.
Chair Diamond and the board, thank you for allowing us this opportunity. I'm Mike Rogers, resident of Truckee and a board member of the Lyft. I'm speaking out tonight to encourage your yes vote on the new lease for the airport facilities and the Lyft. Many might view the Lyft simply as a shared workspace business in Truckee. Just a shared workspace. What's the big deal? But it's far more than that. For certain, the Lyft is a welcoming hub for small businesses, independent contributors, and nonprofits alike who seek a professional environment to get their work done. And what makes the Lyft unique, though, is its ethos. You see, people also go there for the opportunity to be part of an ambitious, responsible, with other ambitious, responsible, and self-starting people. They are very much aware of their part in the community. Indeed, their important role within Truckee, but they're surrounded and engaged in the work of area nonprofit members, and they experience what it means to work alongside the real community, not just other people that are working. They're part of the community, and they know that. They're there to grow their business, but also to up what I call up their civic game, if you will. The Lift actively and with great intention drives this ethos. Yes, working to make a living, but also to craft a life. And in this context, we are truly building an engaged community here in Truckee at the Lift. With your vote tonight, you're giving something other towns in the Sierra seek desperately to duplicate. The Lift truly is an inspiring place to create, collaborate, and connect. And I look forward to your positive vote tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My name is Jeff Brandt. I've been a member of the Lift since roughly 2021 and worked there 4 to 5 days a week. As someone who would otherwise work from home, the Lift is obviously an incredible place professionally for me to spend time. It allows me to a central location to get my kids to all the camps and schools and ski and things that they need to get to appointments, etc. All of that is important, but I think what I've really, really valued from, and folks similarly situated to me value from, is the community network that has been built at the Lift. I am aware of events that are going on in the town and the airport, aware of issues that are important to the town and the airport because of the time that I spend at Lift. Instead of microwaving my lunch by myself in my kitchen, I'm microwaving my lunch at the Lift, talking with somebody who has a completely different job than me, but has a similar love and passion for this community. Or I'm going to Red Truck and spending way too much money, but meeting with my friends there, friends that work there, and other members of the community rather than sitting at home. This stuff seems small, but I think it's really, really important to have members of the community who are truly vested in the people and places that make the town so special. So I would be playing in Truckee and working in Truckee even if I had to spend the day sitting in my child's bedroom while he was off at school to work. But without the Lift, I would really lose that vital connection to the community, and so many similarly situated to me would lose that vital connection. The last thing I'll say is, it's really important that the Lift not only exists, but remain affordable. Part of what makes it so special is the wide range of diversity of skills, of interests, of roles that people are doing here. It makes my microwave chats way more interesting, that it's accessible to a lot of people. So if rates were to go up such that it became inaccessible, that would really be detrimental to the community. So appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Jeff. Can I just say that you're all nailing this 2-minute mark perfectly? Really appreciate that.
No pressure. My name's Eric. I'm a Truckee local, 4-year Lift member, and I'm here to basically give thanks to you guys for what you've done for the past 3 years, allowing us to be over there. I want to remind everybody that years ago, corporations and organizations always supported their employees and their communities. But somewhere over the last few decades, it seems we've kind of lost our way. And now these same organizations can't see past the balance sheet and the income statement. But you guys have, and allowing us to be there for the 3 years that we have. I ask for your support to continue that. I really appreciate the support that you've given us already. And I know the hundreds of members that we have all feel the same way. So I just wanted to thank you very much for what you've done, and I look forward to continued support. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
How'd I do? Under 2 minutes?
You were great.
Good afternoon, Airport Board. My name is Kelly Cutler, Program Manager for the Truckee Cultural District. The Cultural District has relied heavily as a nonprofit anchor tenant at Lyft since September 2023, working as a driver for our creative economy and a creative workforce solutions partner. TCD has used Lyft as base camp in our state-designated cross-sector partnerships with the town, with the Truckee Arts Alliance, the Truckee Chamber, and the Downtown Merchants Association. The Lyft office allows the Cultural District to stay visible and fully execute all programs, including our Airport District Art at the Airport program, the Town of Truckee Dark Skies Public Awareness and Educational Outreach, as well as TTUSD student mentoring and creative career pathways. I also want to mention that in my 30-year administrative career, I've never found a more productive place to work, and I think that Jan and staff have a lot to do with that. The Cultural District is able to operate efficiently and effectively across these and many other community partnerships due to our office at Lyft and lease agreement, which has not been increased in 3 years, allowing us to stay operating in a business environment with restricted and now decreasing grant funding. We are one of a long list of business, nonprofits, agencies, and community stakeholders that use and rely Lyft daily as their home base for operations and services. We were actually hosting at Lyft the executive director of the California Arts Council, as well as Department of Finance this week in our work that we do in advocacy on the state level for cultural districts. The Cultural District considers the Airport District to be a deeply valued community partner. Thank you for helping us to achieve our priorities that are related to our annual STEAM student art exhibit, creative career pathways, creative meetups, and Muse literary publication distribution. Is that my time?
That's your time. Thanks,
Ran out.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hi, my name is Rocky Woods. I'm a structural engineer. I've been in the area doing structural engineering for 46 years now. Our company, Gabbard & Woods, just a little background about me quickly, but our company, Gabbard & Woods, is the engineer for this building. We're the engineer for Lyft, and we've done a lot of work on the hangars too. So I think we understand what the board is about, what the airport district's about. We have a lot of appreciation for the district and for all of you folks. So I became aware of Lyft a couple of years ago. We closed our company, and I've got a new status as semi-retired. I'm trying to stay busy. My wife and I live down in Reno, and so I started working at Lyft to try to stay connected to Truckee. It's been such a huge part of my life and my working life. I started thinking I would come up one day a week, but to echo what other people are saying, I've been absolutely blown away with the sense of community in this workspace. And as a business owner in the area for decades, I've been in a lot of offices, and this is the best space I've worked in. It's amazing, and I really credit Jan and his team with that. It's an intangible, but it's amazing. So just wanted to put that forward. Anyway, I'm coming up more like 3 days a week just to be in this environment. I'm able to share my experience and my knowledge with younger engineers. There's 4 of us now that are coming to this space, and I'm working with them. A lot of this is just time I'm volunteering, but it's one of the greatest things I've done in my career. I'm just really impressed. There's builders that come in, there's architects that come in, and I really feel the spirit in the space. So I think that's mostly what I wanted to say. It's fabulous. There's some magic sauce going on there that I'm not sure what it is, but it's really exceptional. So it's allowing my little business model to work. I don't have a lot of income right now. We're in Reno, but I can make it work under these circumstances.
Thank you, Rocky.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jacob Morgan. I've been a member of the Lyft since 2020 when I was at the old building and seeing Jan and team be able to build it out. I recently moved from a larger company called Prologis to my own kind of startup business. Over that time, I've been able to meet with consultants, engineering consultants that have come. Project team has been able to place interviews and things at the Lyft. For me, right, it's not only just about myself, but then having a space that I can communicate, contribute with other people who have like-mindedness, having other people who support my business being able to meet it at the space. Really appreciate the affordability, the welcoming that the Lyft team has always done. I feel like it's also a community space where if someone needs help with something, like everyone's really able to like help them get on the internet or help with a conference room. I think the way that Jan and everyone has built this out, that it's not just us, but we also feel like we appreciate the space and just always, everybody's always willing to help out. And I think it says a lot about what they've been able to create there and what looking forward to being able to contribute my work there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob.
Hi, my name is Michael Dillon. I'm a veteran with a disability. Sorry, I get a little choked up. I chose Truckee because of Lyft. I wouldn't have been able to come here otherwise. They provide meeting space, quiet places for therapy, and a place where I can try to work on something to build a future. So it means a lot. I can afford it. It's a stretch. I'm so glad they're here. And you guys, I've never seen an airport so involved in the community, so thumbs up. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Hi, my name is Alex Tweedy, and hoping you'll support the continued lease of the Lyft workspace. I'm speaking as a community member who's not a member of the co-working facility. I wanted to share how much I appreciate the Lyft's programming beyond the co-working space, classes, events, meeting facilities. I've personally benefited from a wide range of their offerings, from health to professional education. So just wanted to speak to that element of what they're providing to the community, and also echo what other people have said about the connection and parallels with the Truckee Roundhouse Makerspace. I've been a member there for years, and from my limited time, at the Lyft workspace, I can see it is absolutely fostering the same kind of really deep community bonds that the Roundhouse does, and I hope you'll provide the same support. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Chairman Diamond and the board, hello. Thanks for giving us a chance to speak. My name's Jeff Lennon. I moved to Truckee about 8 years ago. And then about 2 years ago, my company where I worked shut down. And I found myself unemployed sort of later in life, hoping that I was going to retire in a few years, like many of us, I'm sure. And Rocky's comments kind of resonated. I've had a chance with the Lyft to meet so many people in the community. Even though I've been here already for 6 years, I was kind of working in a bubble. And getting into a community at the Lyft, I've met so many people I see in here. I also had the opportunity to be connected. I started out volunteering for the library campaign. They were in there, Friends of Truckee Library, at a meeting. Was introduced to the La Fuerza Latina program at Truckee High School. Became a mentor there. Helped a couple of young people start a company in Truckee last year that's still thriving, and I'm able to sort of meet with them over there. The Lyft made them entrepreneurs in residence and gave them desk space. We did many meetings in there. I've never seen a program like that before in this town or the towns I've lived in before, and I just feel grateful that it exists, and I'm grateful for your guys' support. Also, somebody said that it seems like it's run by women. I'd make the case it sort of is. Becca, Hannah, Son, they go right in here, and Jan, and Lisa. So, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Good evening. Thank you. My name is Tom Sayers, a local boy, and I want to make a little turn and focus on making right decisions. I was part of the Jurger family across the street there for a number of years. I assume you know who they are. And one of the stories, and the best part about it was listening to the old ranch stories, and how at one point in the late 50s, early 60s, Papa Joe was working with some folks to put an airport in out here, which was pasture. And he wasn't real excited about it, but he thought it was the right thing to do, that for this little community to grow and have a feeling that it wasn't so remote and removed from the rest of the world. He sold some of the ranch, it basically bisected the ranch, and so he had to move his cattle, had to fence it so they could get around. And then later on, the airport was running out of money and was having a hard time, and he donated the rest of the land. And he did it because, according to his daughter, it was the right thing to do. And I hope that if you folks haven't been there, if you haven't taken the tour over there, highly recommend it. I'm part of the PT clinic that works out of there. There's an amazing group of people. I hope that it's easy for you to make the right decision, and I hope that decision supports what we're doing over there. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hi, my name is Mike Witherspoon, or Spoon. I'll introduce myself as a candidate for the Truckee Fire Board, but we're going to punt the stump speech to another meeting. Just want to share a couple stories of my two-time tenancy at Lyft. during the pandemic, that place helped save my sanity. Just to be able to get out of the house, have a place to work at, that was at a reasonable cost. It was truly valuable throughout that time. As of recently, I've been on a protracted job hunt for the last 5 months, kind of stretching dollars. The cost structure that's at the lift allowed me to have a professional setting, to have meetings, so I could obtain a job at a nonprofit here in town that just happened. So thank you, Jan, for providing a home for that. And it's also a home for my campaign. So thank you very much. Would love to keep that cost structure in place for folks who go through a kind of tough time like I did.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Chair Diamond, board, and staff for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jason Toops. I'm a candidate for Truckee Town Council. Thank you for your public service and for being thoughtful stewards of public resources. I know all of you are really focused on that, and that's great. I want to express my support for the lift. There was some discussion of nonprofit versus for-profit, and I won't wade into that. I think regardless of the lift's tax status or whatever it is, it absolutely provides a substantial community benefit that's consistent with your goals. And that's only possible because of the history of the airport district's support for the lift and hopefully the future of that support. For those of us that work alone or work from home, it's wonderful to have a place where we can see people, run into friends. It really brings people together and builds community. For nonprofits, it's an essential home. As many of us know, nonprofits don't have many places to meet, and the lift is often the go-to. I actually only joined the lift relatively recently, but I've been going many, many times with nonprofit boards that I volunteer with. And lastly, it encourages entrepreneurism and a diversifying economy that's not entirely reliant on tourism. I know that's a focus for all of us, so I think it's wonderful that we have that. Again, thank you for your service and your history of support for the lift, and I know you'll be able to find a sustainable path forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Hello, my name is Quinn Holen. I am Jan's son. Throughout the lifetime of the lift, I've seen how it has grown and engaged more people and allowed people to hook into the community and find a place to work. The shift to the larger building, the airport, was a big step, but with your support, the lift was allowed to thrive. And I hope that you will support a generous lease that will allow the lift to continue thriving, continue growing, and engaging more people. Thank you.
Thank you, Quinn.
Hello, my name is Troy. I'm a full-time resident here in Truckee. I am not a member of the lift, but I have been fortunate enough to be able to meet there several times. And I have several friends who work there, and so I hear their feedback of how important it is for them, and you heard it over and over again, how important it is to our local community members. I have just 2 points to make that I think are worth thinking about. One is the community impact, which we've continued to hear tonight. Truckee offers a lot of places to gather community, especially outside, active community, sport, you name it. But there isn't very many opportunity for professional community. And really, that's what keeps our economy alive. I mean, we have the tourism, of course, but all the people that are full-time here, if you're not in the food industry or in the trades, what else are you doing? You're probably working at your house alone. And to be able to bring people together in a professional way is something that Truckee needs, and really the lift is the only place that provides that. As a professional who works from home, I know what it's like to not be able to have community in this like-minded way. And second, I think the impact of lift has a ripple that goes farther into the roots of Truckee than we can see with the naked eye. I mean, what it produces is not only employment, but it also produces creativity. It brings founders together. It brings people that want to work in this community in a different way. And, if those people only have the option of working from home, a lot of them might leave. And our community needs our full-time members. We don't want just the second homeowners here. We need our full-time community, and they need their outlets to be able to work within their community with their fellow community members. Thank you.
Thank you, Troy. Hi.
My name is Daniel Feldman. I'm a full-time Truckee resident, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I just wanted to share that for almost 2 years, I had a small local craft popcorn company, and when I was first starting out, the Lyft approached me and asked how they could support, and ended up being the very first place that I was able to offer my popcorn, get samples, iterate on flavors. I went on to start going to a program they support called the Entrepreneur Roundtable, where I was able to meet with other local entrepreneurs, and I got a lot of support that way, was able to connect with others, and went on to sell it in a number of our local breweries and shops. Ended up shutting it down for more personal reasons, definitely not Jan's fault. And even though it's not a business success story, there's a direct line between the Lyft and connecting that and supporting that small business. And so it is an amazing place to work. It is a real important place for me in the community professionally, like the last speaker was saying. But I just wanted to share that one case of sort of directly supporting our local entrepreneurs as well.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hi, my name's Jeff Freeman. I've been a Truckee resident for about 8 years now, in the North Lake Tahoe area for 15. And as a professional photographer, obviously, I can say that the social and professional connections at the Lyft have been invaluable, not just for saving, obviously, my mental sanity. And it is also by far the nicest co-working space. I've tried just about everything in this area. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Hello, board. Thank you for your support. I think what's really important about what Jan is doing here is the civil aspect. I think it's very important that our community gives back, and I hold that in high regard. I'm here as a member of the Kelly family and co-founder of the Tahoe Food Hub, and the Lyft helped launch the Tahoe Food Hub. Jan was on our board, and what has happened over at the Tahoe Food Hub over the last few years has been amazing. And I can remember 10 years ago sitting here almost the same situation in regards to the Tahoe Food Hub. And so I see very similar attributes for our community. So I'm here to support the lease. So thanks again.
Thank you, sir.
Hey folks, Ryan Kosensky. I'm a Truckee resident, also a pilot based out of Truckee here, part of the Tahoe Flying Club, also a member of Lyft. Self-employed, I work there. I have the great pleasure of coming to the airport every day, being able to walk to the hangar, take folks from there flying, introduce them to the great airport we have because of you all, the effort everybody does here. So I'm a huge favor of it, keeping it going, keeping it affordable, and just helping support small businesses. So thank you.
Thank you, Ryan.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Curtis. I live here in town, and I have for about 6 years. I don't have a particularly fancy title for my job. I just work as a writer. I also don't have any kids. I don't have no man. I'm like, it's not an advertisement. My point is, if I didn't have somewhere to go and work remotely, I might get a little bit lonely. And it gives me a great space to engage with our community and meet people that I wouldn't necessarily get to because they work in a lot of different industries and have experience in the town in a lot of different directions. I do work for a Bay Area company, and I know there's a lot of remote workers who do that up here, and there's some talk about affordability. I do find that Lyft is a tough point in my budget, but I have decided it's worth it. Everything's getting kind of more expensive nowadays, healthcare, fuel, power, and there's just so much uncertainty around housing here. So having, just a little bit of an outlet that I can fit into the budget is really important to me. So I really appreciate it. And I love the location here. My dad was a pilot, and I'm on my phone, and he tells me all about all the jets that you guys have and where they go and what they do. And I've just been really appreciating kind of getting to know this area better and what you guys do. So thanks.
Thank you, Melissa.
Good evening, Chair Diamond, board, staff, Pam Hobday, citizen of Truckee, owner Pamela Hurd Associates. I want to go back a little bit to 2017 and 2018. We were having very hard economic times. That time I was lucky enough to be chairman of the board of the chamber. Morgan was mayor, Morgan Goodwin, who's visiting and here. He was chairman of the town council. And we convened a group of people that had a dream. And it was about an ecosystem that we would put together that would become an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And it was community-based. The dream was to have a place where we could have this amazing ecosystem, and that place now is the lift. So that dream has really turned into a reality. And I do workshops at the lift. I love being there. Someone said magic sauce, it is. People learn differently there. People are able to walk down the aisle and look at all these different people that are our community being there together. It's a community place. So I want to thank you for your support, encourage you to continue this support, and thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Pam.
Hi, my name is Camille Hamill, and I'm a Nordic skier. And I wanted to bring up something that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, which is the gym. It's a really great space where my team is able to work out together, but you also see other people, like you have physical therapists working in the corner, you have like a personal trainer, and we're all able to coexist in that space while there's also people working. And it's a really great, like, not just for people who work there, but also for the community to go do the gym, do the classes that they offer there. And I would really encourage you guys to support the space. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille.
Good afternoon, board. Thank you so much for hearing the comments of the public. I'm a longtime resident here and fortunate to have been a member of LIFT for almost a decade. The reality is that entrepreneurship is perhaps an underappreciated element of our civic and economic society in terms of it being on offer at LIFT as an ecosystem, like mentioned. I've had the good fortune of running an entrepreneurship office for the governor of Nevada for its inaugural years, and so appreciating that entrepreneurship as a national endeavor is fairly competitive. It's very difficult for municipalities who don't have the advantage of a capital city or a large metropole to rely on for resources and connectivity. And so here in what we might call a peri-urban location, LIFT provides an essential service for connectivity as a resource hub, but then also as a launching point. And I think one of the underestimated advantages of being in a lifestyle location is that you provide for the likes of our sports people as well as our visitors a place where they can learn how to anchor into this community. They may or may not have access to appropriate resources to make it their permanent home, but it can be a business home. It can be a place where they can provide onward journey from the Truckee location as a distributor network, as an opportunity for connectivity, both to bring those interests and resources into Truckee, but then also to have the Truckee-Tahoe region provide that jumping off point so that we can actually span some of these divides between the urban and the peri-urban environment and not so much come to equality to compete on those grounds, but for those who want to balance raising a family, who want to balance a lifestyle pursuit, that you enable that to be an affordable reality for those who can give back to the community in an economic sense and do so in a way that LIFT enables networking.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you so much.
So we have any other public comment on this or any other item not on our agenda tonight? Seeing none, I will close public comment and thank you all very much for participating in this. It's important and we appreciate that. Thank you. So we'll move on to the consent item. Would anybody, consent agenda, excuse me, would anybody from the board like to pull an item? No. Would anyone from staff like to pull an item from consent?
No, we do not.
Would anyone from the public like to pull an item from consent? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
Yeah, sure. I'll move to approve the consent.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. All right. Now we have item number 4, the annual TTAD vacancy report. Sure.
Good?
Go for it, Lauren.
Hello, welcome. I'm presenting the 2025 vacancy report for the Truckee Tahoe Airport District. This is prepared in compliance with the California Assembly Bill 2561, which was signed by Governor Newsom in September of 2024, which requires local public agencies to annually report on vacancy, recruitment activities, and retention efforts to their governing board before adopting the annual budget. This report covers the full 2025 calendar year, so it's already been done. And it focuses on permanent positions only, so no temporary seasonal positions are included in these in this data. This report is about transparency, accountability, and making sure we're doing right by the community we serve. All right, so before we dive into the data, let's quickly explain why we have to report this at all. California Assembly Bill 2561 was signed into law again in September 2024, and it applies to all local public agencies like ours that are covered under the Myers-Millis-Brown Act. The law has 3 core requirements. We must report annually on vacancies, recruitment activity, and retention efforts. We must also identify any hiring challenges or policy obstacles we're facing. And this report must be reviewed by the board before the adoption of the annual budget, and public comment must be invited. All right. In 2025, the Truckee Tahoe Airport District had 25.5 permanent positions. That's 25 full-time positions and 1 part-time position. Of those, we had 9 vacancies during the year 2025, which gave us an overall vacancy rate of 35%. Vacancies are normal and part of everyday workforce management. People retire, resign, or get promoted. The question is how quickly and effectively we respond to those transitions in our employment structure. To address those vacancies, we launched 7 active recruitments in 2025. 2 positions were intentionally held open, which I'll get to later. And honestly, bottom line, we had a lot of vacancies, and it was a challenge to be able to work through those, but we did. And here's a breakdown of breakdown by employee group. Each group represents a different tier of our workforce. Exempt Class 1 includes our director level positions and the general manager position, and it had a 25% vacancy rate, which equated to 1 vacant position, our Director of Finance and Administration. Exempt Class 2, which includes our manager level positions as well as the senior accountant position, they had a 40% vacancy rate, which was 2 vacant positions. Those positions was the safety and security manager position and the senior accountant. The non-exempt Class 1, which includes our coordinator positions that work a traditional Monday through Friday schedule, had a 40% vacancy rate, which was 1 vacant position, our public relations coordinator. It should be noted that the public relations coordinator was one of the positions that were intentionally held vacant for the budget 2025 budget year. The highest vacancy rate was in our non-exempt Class 2 positions at 50%. There are only 2 positions in that employee group, which at the time was our IT noise technician and the outreach coordinator. These are non-exempt employees that work an alternative work week schedule, so not a traditional Monday through Friday. After the IT noise technician role was vacated, it was determined by district leadership to not initiate recruitment for this permanent position. Instead, the IT noise technician's noise monitoring duties were absorbed into the safety and security manager's role, changing it to the safety, security, and community engagement manager. And the seasonal noise monitoring duties was covered under a temporary noise technician position. Non-exempt class 3, our operations and maintenance technicians and specialist positions had a 33% vacancy rate with 3 open positions out of 9. This is our largest employee group here at the district. Non-exempt class 4, our operations and maintenance supervisor positions had a 33% vacancy rate, which equated to 1 vacant position, and that was our O&M supervisor. So across the board, the district worked really hard to fill positions quickly. In 2025, we ran 7 full recruitments. Every single recruitment starts in my department alongside the hiring manager to evaluate, update, and finalize the job description before we ever post it publicly. Our process starts with my department to pre-screen every applicant, and I only forward those who meet the minimum requirements for the position. I work with the hiring manager to build a structured interview plan to identify the best fit, and once a candidate is selected, HR drafts the offer, and the hiring manager negotiates with the general manager's final approval. Our numbers, we interviewed 23 total candidates across 10 interview panels, and we averaged just 8 applications per posting, with the most competitive posting receiving 12 applications. Our average time to hire was 28.4 days, calendar days, from job announcement to offer made. The quickest hire in 2025 was the Safety, Security, and Community Engagement Manager at 22 days. And the longest was the O&M specialist position at 41 days. So let's compare 2024 to 2025 because context matters. The good news first is our average time to hire dropped from 43.75 days in 2024 to just 28.4 days in 2025. That's a 35% improvement. Now, the nuance is our applicant pools shrank. Average applications per posting dropped 30%, from 11.5 applications down to 8. Total candidates interviews dropped 50%, from 46 down to 23. This isn't necessarily a crisis, but it's a trend we're going to watch slowly because smaller applicant pools can be a sign of a tightening labor market, especially for specialized and technical positions. As a small public agency, we're competing with larger agencies that can offer higher salaries and more advancement opportunities. We filled the positions we needed to fill, and we did it faster than last year, but the shrinking pipeline is something we need to pay close attention to this next year. Like I said earlier, of our 9 vacancies, 7 were actively recruited, but 2 were intentionally left open. The public relations coordinator position remained vacant by the district, but of these positions' duties, we have had them handled through a consultant, which gave us the flexibility and expertise we needed without the overhead of a full-time hire. When the IT noise technician position became vacant the spring of 2025, district leadership took the opportunity to rethink the position. It was decided that the core year-round monitoring duties be absorbed by the Safety and Security Manager position, turning it into the Safety, Security, and Community Engagement Manager position. The summer seasonal noise duties was covered by a temporary employee. Attracting talent is one challenge, but keeping it is another, especially here in the Truckee Tahoe region where the cost of living is high and housing availability is limited. We invest in our people across 5 areas. We're a member of the Truckee Tahoe Workforce Housing Agency, and employees can access our down payment assistance program, which is administered by them. The Workforce Housing Agency also offers a concierge service that our employees can find support in securing long-term leases, home purchase education, and navigation. We offer flexible scheduling, health and fitness reimbursements, clothing reimbursements, and a comprehensive employee assistance program. We recognize employees formally through our Employee of the Month program, service year recognitions every 5 years, and we invest in team culture through holiday parties, team outings, department engagement activities, and barbecues. Unlike traditional government step systems, we use a merit-based pay model, and high performers are rewarded. We also fund education, training, conference attendance, and certifications. Our benefits package is frankly exceptional. We cover 100% of health insurance premiums for our full-time employees and their dependents, and a prorated share for part-time employees. We also offer an 8% 457B match, up to an 8% 457B match, and CalPERS retirement and annual COLA assessments every year. The district also conducts consistently timed classification and compensation studies every 3 years, and our next one is scheduled to take place in 2027. Conducting these studies matter when our applicant pools are shrinking. But I want to be candid again about the challenges we're watching. The biggest signal we saw in 2025 is the shrinking applicant pool. Fewer applications per posting, fewer total candidates. That's a trend to look out for. As a small public airport district, we simply can't outspend the larger agencies, and the Truckee Tahoe region is expensive to live in, which narrows the talent pool even further. What we're going to do about this, we're going to watch these trends closely and build flexibility into our workforce strategy, maintain competitive compensation backed by regular classification and compensation studies, continue surveying our staff to catch retention issues early, and finally, staff recommends the board consider a thoughtful review and consideration of a potential housing stipend for district employees to address the cost of housing within district boundaries. So that is my vacancy report. We face the same pressures many small local public agencies here in our region face: a competitive labor market, high regional cost of living, and shrinking applicant pools. But our compensation is strong and our benefits are exceptional. I want to open up the report for public comment as required by AB 2561, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the board or the public.
Okay, we'll start with the board and then we'll get to the public comment. But thank you, Lauren, for that. Any clarifying questions for Lauren, Teresa? Okay. No. I've got a few.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I just verified this with the town of Truckee advertised for a permit technician. They got 36 applicants, and then they had an IT position that also had a pretty high number of applications. Is it possible that we could be using a better source for advertising for these that might address the diminishing responses?
Yeah, we're open to other ideas. We advertise on our website. We advertise on the Truckee Jobs Collective. Depending on the position, we consider LinkedIn or Indeed. Most of the bigger sites like CSDA or AAAE, if it's a airport technical position, people have to move here and there's a cost associated with that by the time, in my experience here, by the time we were to offer them a position, they typically pull out. So we frankly have really sort of invested on like the local advertisement component of it. Our senior accountant position, we did advertise through Indeed, And that was successful, but a lot of it was spam. So it's just trying to field through all of the spam when it comes to like the bigger kind of like Indeed recruitment pages.
Okay, have we spoken to any of the other HR departments in the area to see what they're using and if it's working for them?
Sure, we can.
I know I was just asking if we had, but.
Most usually post locally, and then the other, depending on the position, you can use recruiters. Like, so our director of finance position, we utilized a recruiter for that. So it really depends on the position we're posting and how we're going to advertise, you know. So the higher level director positions, we have used recruiters in the past. For the lower level, you know, mid-level office positions, we have had success in the past with the Truckee Jobs Collective and advertising locally. But now, yeah, we're having to look at different areas. And I have no qualms going out to the other HR managers and seeing what they're doing and the methods they're using. And I think it just goes down to the position, honestly.
Right. Okay, thank you. Do any questions come up from the board?
No, that was a good question.
Do we have any public comment on this? Okay, any deliberation, any other comments from the board on this?
No.
We're all good? Okay. Thank you, Lauren. All right, let's move on to our action items. Item number 5, a convenience fee charge for credit card use. Is that you, Rob?
Yeah, I'll introduce this and turn it over to Liza or Josh for additional comment. Looking at our master fee schedule in our cost structure here, one of the areas of weakness for us here from a cost perspective was that we were absorbing credit card fee charges at the airport for a number of our sales area, whether it be fuel sales, a variety of other things that are listed in the attached master fee schedule. So per California code, we're required to have board authorization to charge the fee that we are being charged for processing credit cards. And this staff report recommends that we introduce a fee, convenience fee into our master fee schedule to cover our credit card fee charges. It's not the only way you can pay for things. There are other options, whether it be ACH payment. There are several depending on what you're purchasing and where. There are other payment methodologies. But for the convenience of running credit card fees in which we get charged, we are suggesting that we would like to add a convenience fee charge that would recoup our cost, no additional cost, no additional revenue. So right now the fiscal impact annually is about $95,000 of fees that we're paying in order to process other people's purchases via credit card. So I'll turn it to Liza or Josh if you have additional commentary on this.
And I don't have anything to add, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
The only thing I'd like to add is it's for certain things and not others. Certain things we can do it from a technological standpoint. Certain things we don't manage, so we can't do it. So it would be mostly for tenant payments, for hangar rent payments. They pay online, so it's the user. If they're using a credit card, they pay their own fee, so nobody else is having to pay for that, just the person that's using their credit card. So it'd be for the hangar fee, hangar lease payments, and then av fuel. So fuel purchases, we can charge that fee directly back to them. The convenience fee to use a credit card. Certain other ones we cannot, like vector payments for landing fees, ramp fees, that type of a thing. We don't control that. That's a third party. So those fees are just passed on. We can't charge the user for those directly. So just wanted to clarify, it's not for everything. We'll still have some credit card fees, but it's really in the service fee that we pay to Vector. It's mixed in there. So what we can collect, we will.
All right. Mary, any questions?
Yeah, I'm trying to put it together.
Do you want me to come back?
Yeah.
Kat?
I don't have any questions.
Teresa, no questions? I don't have a question. I have just a statement, but I'll let Mary do her questions.
I wasn't quite clear. So this is on hangars and fuel, but not ramp fees or land or
In the master fee schedule attached here, it lists out the areas that we would be recouping our credit card fees via a convenience fee.
Okay.
We do have some third-party agreements in place that charge fees. For example, Park Mobile, if you're parking in our short, long-term parking lots, they charge their own fee for a credit card fee. We're not paying that fee. The individual is paying that fee for parking directly to the vendor. So for relationships like that had the vendor charging directly to the customer, we don't have a charge, so we're not paying out of pocket for that. So we're not trying to recoup that.
Okay, thank you.
So good. Any public comment on this item?
So those areas are highlighted in yellow here.
No public comment? All right, we'll close public comment. Any board deliberation on this? Kat? Mary?
I mean, we're finding it everywhere, and I have no problem with it, because, it's, there you go.
Yeah, I would agree. This is pretty common business practice, and just for my fellow hangar tenants that might be thinking, wow, this is going to add. With the new service, I set mine up this morning to do an ACH transfer. There's no fee for an ACH transfer. It was very easy to do. So if you don't want to pay the fee, there are options to not have to pay the credit card fee, but we're recouping $95,000-ish in fees that we're paying right now per year. Do we have a motion on this?
Yeah. Let's see. I move to amend the district's master fee schedule effective September 1, 2026 to include a 3% fee for the use of credit card payment.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, policy instruction 110, personnel policies.
So this item I'll just cover briefly. The board had a workshop, and we had a topic introduced before the workshop. Staff wasn't able to prepare a lot of background detail for that workshop, but there was some guidance that came out of the workshop that is encapsulated in version 1, the policy instruction 110, which was guidance to remove language around merit payments for exceptional performance of the staff. In light of that recommendation or that request from the board president asked me for staff to prepare a version 2 that included the existing program with more definition. And so that's what the version 2 is in the board book, which gives a process that you'll see in version 2 of an annual budget process for the board to set the threshold of available funds for that specific program. We're suggesting $15,000 for the next budget process. It establishes 3 criteria of award levels based on level of contribution for that significant exceptional merit type performance. And then it also addresses 2 other areas that weren't discussed in the workshop. We do have a monthly recognition of Employee of the Month. There is a cash via gift card component of that, which is $50. If we were to go with version 1, I would recommend that if the sense is remove all types of payment towards employees for doing something above and beyond their normal job, then that would fall in that category. So we probably should remove any cash payment for recognizing Employee of the Month. And then there is longevity awards also, which in version 2 does recognize a threshold, a dollar value. So the policy does call out that we will have a longevity award. People have been here 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to be recognized, and a cash payment for that recognition. There was no dollar value associated with that. I've set that as a general manager of value towards that, and we, over the last several years, we'd recognize with cash awards those longevity awards. I would assume this would fall in the same category of version 1 if there's guidance to remove it, or in version 2, we're setting actual dollar thresholds for those as part of the annual budget allocation for this to give more definition to this area. So those are the two versions that are in there. Liza, I know you and your team are preparing this. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
The only thing I would add is that Lauren created a very thorough document with some examples, some other public entity examples of how they do this. And it's very thorough policy, for lack of another word, of how, level 1 would be achieved, level 2, level 3, and so forth, and the dollar awards associated with that. So there's much more definition to the program should you accept it. And then there's like a form also that any nominating director or manager would have to fill out. This is who I'm nominating, this is why, this is what they did over and above this level, all the information. So it's just much more defined, and we have that ready to review should you want to see it.
So the idea of that level of detail wasn't included in the policy instruction, being a board level, high level policy. The actual execution of how that would work would go in our employee handbook. And so if the board was supportive of version 2, next month we'd bring back an update to the employee handbook, which would have all those definition details. So you can see that that is a board approved document as well.
Okay. Kat, questions?
I guess my question is actually to you. The board direction was quite clear. Why are we even looking at version 2?
Because the board, staff in a 24-hour period scrambled to put that loose definition together before. And since this had to come back anyway for us to amend it to remove the program, I asked them to clarify and give an option on that so that there was an option, at least the board could see something that was thought out and researched. And then also clarify what they would have had, what we would have had to clarify anyway in this motion. So what we did last time was not change the policy. Do you understand?
I understand. I understand that we were all very clear on what our direction was. It was in the minutes. It was in an email that Rob sent to staff that was sent to us. I don't understand why staff time was spent on this, why we're being asked to look at it, and it's quite incomplete. We don't have whatever Lauren put together that sounds like it's very detailed. So we're still not working with all the information a month later. So this feels very incomplete to me, and I feel like we made a decision already, and I don't feel like we should. I mean, is this going to be a pattern?
In what sense?
In the sense that when the board overwhelmingly makes a decision, that the board president decides to go a different direction.
No, sorry, for clarification, this is not because I'm board president. Every board director has the opportunity to have anything agendized outside of 10 days before the meeting. You have that right, Teresa has
Sure.
that right, and that
Sure.
was why I asked for this under that. And that is a policy for us. It wasn't
I understand
because of
that.
board president.
I understand that.
Is this questions or debate?
Yeah. Questions?
I actually echo what she said. I thought that we were pretty clear. We wanted it out, and I was really surprised to see it back on the agenda.
Is that a question?
Yeah, the question is, I guess, already answered, but I wanted to echo it. I feel the same way.
Okay. Mary, any questions?
No questions.
Okay. Any public comment? All right. Board deliberation. Teresa, take it away.
I mean, it's in the minutes. I don't even know why we're talking about it. I think it should go out for $15,000 a year over 25 and a half employees, or however the number is now. It created such havoc and ill will in such a short period of time. I'm not interested in putting it back in place. And I also don't think we need to take anything out of the existing policy. But whatever, I mean.
This is in the existing policy. What Rob had done before was enabled by policy that we had just approved less than a year ago.
Okay, let me be more specific. The $1,000 for 20 years of service does not need to come out. I would venture to say it should be increased, but that's not what we're talking about right now. My position hasn't changed since our last meeting on this topic.
Kat?
Yeah, I'm not in favor of version 2. Version 1, as far as taking out the employee of the month, I don't really see that. I don't really know much about employee of the month, honestly. I don't know that it rewards extraordinary or exceptional performance as much as this person was extra valuable to the district this month. And so I don't have any problem with it. I think it's a great program. I think it's something, my understanding is that it's not available to every employee. I guess maybe I'd like to understand a little bit more about that. But it's a nomination, right? It's just a group of staff that can nominate and then vote. Is that right? I'm not entirely clear. But I don't see any reason to take it out, is what I'm trying to say.
The $50 employee of the month, leave that in, but take out the other paragraph. Yeah, because in version 1, it doesn't have, the existing does not have the employee of the month. It's only in the version 2.
That's correct.
Right. So in the existing, where's the employee of the month? Or do we not have a policy on that?
It doesn't exist in that policy, right? There's no board policy.
Is there another policy that includes that?
There is not a board policy. That's
Okay.
that's a management GM discretion.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm okay with the employee of the month. I think that's, you get a parking space for the month. It's a recognition. But I am also concur in terms of the exceptional merit card payments program. Just looking above, leave with pay for exceptional performance, you're eligible for leave with pay for 3 consecutive days. That is quite a level of pay right there for exceptional service. So I'm okay with the $50, but I'm not okay with the exceptional merit cash payment program. There's also a year-end cash bonus for employees, and I'm also looking at, these are all property tax dollars. And we pay 100% of health insurance, and there are some great benefits. I think if it comes to a point where we are losing employees because we're not competing, then we have to talk about other options. But for now, I'm okay with not, to exclude that paragraph in version 1, and to include the $50 employee of the month. Then I think it should be considered for all employees. I mean, you're saying that it's only for some employees, but really it should be any and all.
Lori, could you bring up the existing policy to show what is being removed in version 1? So this is what this board approved. I think it was February. Was that when we approved?
I think it was January this year.
February. Okay. And this was what was discussed last time we discussed this. So this was a policy that was in there. It wasn't that we were trying to add something. So I wanted to be clear about that, because I felt that was important to note, that when there was last minute concern about this, some of which came from the hotline, that staff scrambled to try to put some structure or make a recommendation with some structure behind it. I felt that that was unfair to staff to have been able to do that in a 24-hour period, and that's why I asked them to take another stab at it so that the board could actually see something. That said, I was also disappointed to not see in the materials more specifics about how that program would work, and I understand that was a different document here.
Yeah, that was at my direction. I wasn't going to have staff spin their wheels creating more documentation and detail for this board level policy when the previous direction on short notice was the board was not interested in having this section of the policy anymore. And the board was supportive of it. We'd come back again, like I said, and have all those details and present those appropriately. But again, this was a last minute topic that was added to a workshop 2 weeks ago with no material prepared by management, no discussion by management, just the board discussing among themselves this policy without any details shared with management or discussion with the general manager about why this would be removed. So I was a little disappointed. I'm still disappointed in this process.
And I think what was the surprise for us at last month's meeting was the reporting of it. And by version 1, it should, as of January, it should have been reported. And like I say, I've been here 20 years and I've never seen it. But I don't read in detail all of the personnel policies, which is a fail for me, I suppose. But the fact that this has to be reported every month, I think is potentially cause issues within staff. So I that's why I was in favor of removing it. And I'm still in favor of removing it.
Okay. Any more board thoughts? All right, we have a motion.
I move to approve version 1 with the addition of a $50 Employee of the Month award of PI 110.
All in favor? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
And I'll vote no on that. Okay. Policy 505, community room use. Rob, is that you?
Well, let me turn this over to finance and admin to discuss, if I can.
This is in response to the discussion in the workshop related to removing the MAF building and the space where those folks will go and conduct their activities. So in the last meeting, it was directed to readjust this policy 505, and remove, to put it on hold, basically the policy. The policy's on hold for the period of 1 year, where the board uses this room for board meetings and so forth. So I've talked to the town and worked with them to find out if they have availability for our dates, and we can move to have meetings down there and then conduct airport steam related activities in this room and monitor that, see how it goes for a year, and come up with an alternative plan if it doesn't work in here, where it should go and how that's going to look.
Okay. Any questions? Teresa.
How many people, organizations in a 30-day period will be affected by this? Loosely.
Probably, I looked specifically at December, what was booked in December, and there were probably 10 entities that have meetings in this space during the month, but several of them have more than one meeting in that period. So that's a guess.
So I think we're not sure how many is going to impact yet. What we'd like to do is revisit the prioritization of who books in this room. If we are able to, and I believe we secured confirmation that we're able to hold a monthly board meeting at the town council chambers at no additional cost. We'd be able to schedule this room on a basis of our airfield tenants as a priority more frequently. So Civil Air Patrol, I see something here tonight. EAA doing pancake breakfast kind of thing without the kitchen. Reserving circles out front here. This building, I think we'll contact all the individuals that we normally book with and talk about what their needs are going forward, but not let folks book out a whole year in advance, book out just a month or so in advance, so we can again reprioritize the use of this room towards the folks that are being displaced by not having the MAF facility, which is mostly Civil Air Patrol, EAA in the summertime, it's Mission to Mars. It's just it doesn't mean we're necessarily displacing everybody. It would still be available for our Fly Safe meetings, for the CTA meetings. I think we'll probably be able to accommodate quite a few folks still that existing use of the room. We're not going to change the configuration of the room. We'll still be able to put up the wall here between the two rooms. We may have some additional cabinetry in here, talking to the Civil Air Patrol, where they can keep things locked up so they don't have to transit all the way down to the EAA building. So those are the type of things that we're looking at reconfiguring for the use of this room. I don't have an answer about how many displaced yet until we have those conversations.
I mean, 10, 15, I know we talked about this before, and I think that we should prioritize the airfield stuff, but not exclusively. I don't want it to sit here vacant.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we still want to maximize use of the room. I think I would err towards not letting folks book too far out in advance, as I mentioned, so we're not getting non-airfield folks locking up the room just because the airfield folks haven't planned, 6 months in advance yet. So if we shorten the limitation on the booking availability to closer in and give the prioritization to our airfield folks first, that would be what I think would help provide a facility in replacement of the MAF facility that we won't have.
And shouldn't we hold both sides to the same standard? Meaning, shouldn't our airfield, EAA, Civil Air Patrol book out 6 months in advance?
I think
we can work around them?
Ideally, we'd give them the prioritization for booking, yes.
But with the same time period?
I think we're working out the details on that. We're just looking for board concurrence to rescind the existing policy that the board has on the use and the prioritization of this room, so we can work this out.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have enough clarity around it. I think that we should prioritize airfield for sure, but it's sort of like they should map out their year and we work around it. So we know when our board meetings are. That would be my suggestion. I don't know, practical application. I don't have enough information to vote on this.
Any questions, Mary?
My question's, when you've highlighted the lines, the guidelines in this section are on hold for calendar year. Does that mean that they don't have access in 2027, or they do?
It means we'd like to rescind this existing policy while we develop a new prioritization for the use of this room that we have not developed yet.
So we have an existing 505.
We have an existing policy that has prioritization of who will use this room and what they'll pay.
So E and D, the highlighted sections, are the new pieces in this 505.
Yeah, the highlighted sections are the two new sentences on this policy, which essentially says we'll suspend this policy for a year while we work through a new configuration for this facility.
I guess I'm confused by guidelines. What does guidelines mean in this context?
The existing ones that are listed on the policy.
As access.
Yeah, the board established a board level policy for the use of this room.
Okay.
We're asking to rescind that policy so we can establish new guidelines for airfield prioritization for use of this room.
Okay. And
are we debating yet? Or, okay.
And is this tied to uses limited nonprofit whose mission, no cost use. So is this the assumption that the board will still be meeting here?
No.
My first assumption is that the board would be meeting at the town council chambers.
Okay.
And to free up the availability of this room for other
So,
on-airfield prioritized first
okay, and
use.
these other nonprofits would still have access, but you're just saying that they would book it a week in advance as compared to 6 months at a time. Am I understanding?
Essentially, yes, that's what we're suggesting.
And that's both the nonprofits and the for-profits. And then, but the STEAM people, they could book it out 6 months or a year or whatever.
Yeah, we haven't established the time frame yet, and we're asking, number one is give us suspend the policy. Number two, give us the flexibility to establish new booking procedures that we can manage at the management level. And number three, the board to move for regular, repeatable, predictable meeting location to the town council chambers. So we're not going back and forth for the months. For folks to know where to rely upon where the meeting would be. If the board doesn't want to move down the street, then we would obviously prioritize the board back in here and work around that schedule.
Because I don't see that as such written in here.
It's not written in there. The new schedule has not been developed yet. We're asking to move the first piece in the equation here. That is rescind the policy so we can develop a new schedule. If you want us to develop a new schedule first, we can do that and bring that back as a recommendation. Okay. If the board's willing, which I understood the workshop was willing to move out of this facility down the town council chambers, that helps us free up the options for everybody else that books.
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, I just want to back up a little bit. Who decided that the math was financially unsustainable, and why wasn't the board brought into that decision?
I believe I have briefed the board on this. The expected cost in the MAF facility to permit it with the county was over $1 million. I have not heard from any board member of preference to go through that permitting process and pay that. Instead, what I heard our last time we discussed this was the board was interested in let that facility go, getting out of that cost, not building a new facility, but reprioritizing the use of our existing facilities. Use what we have first. We've asked our tenants to do that with the reprioritization of all of our hangars. We're evicting tenants that aren't actively using their hangars. We're reconsolidating staff from a remote building into using this facility. My understanding of the board's direction, which I'm trying to follow, is use all of our existing resources to the maximum extent possible before we build new.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm trying to execute on.
Okay. Just for the record, I really value having board meetings here, and part of that is that pilots are in and out, and people are in and out, and I think it's really valuable for them to be able to come to board meetings that are right where their hangars are instead of going down the street. And I would just say I would prefer to keep our board meetings here, prioritize that.
I have a question just because I thought I understood this and then I got confused about it. If we're thinking that CTA and some other meetings could continue to be in here, what would be the reason that a board meeting wouldn't? I thought that the whole idea was that once the STEAM programs took this over, it would be reconfigured with the simulators and all of their different things, and that would be a permanent thing. Is that not what we're thinking?
The more we've been discussing that with the people who have been using this facility, including the folks who could use it a lot more, like Civil Air Patrol, we're thinking there is a need and desire to still use it as a full room space, so we don't want to permanently remove that opportunity. We may add some additional things back in a corner for certain uses on a regular basis, but I think as a whole, we still want to keep the capacity of this room to use. What we are suggesting is if we were to free up additional previously committed use of the room to our on-airfield folks to book first, then that would give them more opportunity to utilize this space instead of working around everybody else, including the board.
Okay, and then another question just for clarification on this. What the board's being asked tonight is for a period of a year, are we willing to not pay attention to this policy so that staff and presumably in conversation with the board can come up with other ideas for use of the room that might otherwise be in violation of this policy if it were to stand?
Correct.
So we're not, by voting to rescind this for a year, we're not agreeing to move to the council chambers or anything else. We're just saying we want to wipe the slate clean for a year so we can rethink it.
That's all's before you today, but it was my understanding in the workshop that there was at the end of the workshop concurrence on behalf of the entire board to move to the other facility to use the town council chambers. That was my understanding in the guidance from the board and concurrence. So that fueled my development of plans. If that's changed, let me know.
Okay. Any other questions on this before we go to public comment?
Just because I pulled up the policy 505 in our publications. Oh, I pulled it up in the publications. The only things that are different are the E under 1, the 2 yellow pieces, plus all of number 3, the limited no-cost use. So we're not rescinding anything, we're just changing 505 to add the 2 lines in yellow and all of number 3.
Right, but the 2 lines in yellow basically say that we're not going to pay attention to the rest of it for a period of a year. Is that correct?
That's correct. Rather than canceling a policy and forgetting about it, it just keeps policy in place, but it does say that we're going to come back in a year's time to, at the latest, to have a new policy. I believe we'll have one sooner than that. But.
So just clarity with you, is this is all to be worked out in 2027? Or is the idea that this gets turned into the Civil Air Patrol, EAA, right now in 2027, or is it in 2027 they're going to work out the details?
I think as soon as December of this year, after the election use of this room for the county's election process, that we'll begin reprioritizing the use of this room. And so I think it's going to be a little bit of learning in the process of how does it work for the Civil Air Patrol to have their meetings in here? Okay. Are there new CTE programs that we want to be able to host in here? I think by learning with a prioritization, we're going to evolve over the next 6 months the use of this room. And so if folks that have been using it traditionally, like the board for these meetings, would agree to free up more space, it gives us more opportunity to be creative with the use of this room.
Okay. And it does beg the question in terms of how much use was the MAF, the multi-aviation facility, when it was there for 4 months, 4 or 5 months?
Yeah, the better part of the summer.
How much usage was it being used? Civil Air Patrol, EAA. How much usage? It was a proof of concept that there was a demand for it. And I know those folks in the back are like loving on it, but it's like, how much was it actually used?
I don't have the quantifications days or hours right now in front of me. We can put that together. The majority use was by, I would say, 2 entities. One is the Civil Air Patrol, and the other one was Mission to Mars,
right,
as a program that ran all summer long with, I think, 5 iterations of the class this summer. They added 1 or 2 extra ones. But additional use that I'll turn it over to our Director of Aviation to comment.
We used it for a number of airshow meetings. We used it for some emergency services meetings. We used it.
Could you speak up a little bit?
We used it for airshow meetings.
Okay.
We used it for airfield accidents, some emergency exercises, some tabletop exercises. Cal Fire, I believe Truckee Fire used it. Mission to Mars, Civil Air Patrol, EA. One of the constraints over the permitting, building things and doing things in California is very challenging.
Yes.
So I'm not going to pretend that, Kevin Sloan made a comment earlier.
We worked with contractors. We asked the town. We worked with Nevada County. We worked with United Rentals, our O&M staff, the AVCOM staff, looked at all the ways possible to get the building permitted, and we kept getting different information.
Yeah.
So, if you want to, punch us in the face, punch me in the face. No. I say it just because it's really complicated.
Yeah.
So we did everything we could to try to create a facility, and after the fact learned that we would have to do a noise study. Learned after the fact we need California-approved triple pane windows. We learned after the fact that we couldn't get the technical details from United Rentals, even though everyone said snow is not an issue with this building. We couldn't get the engineering data through the county. We were told bathrooms within 500 feet, we don't need to build anything. Then after the fact, learned, no, the bathrooms here don't count. They need to be closer, so then we'd have to build bathrooms. So we were operating in a bit of a gray space. There was demand. We were letting people use it. We were not letting the organizations store things in it because it wasn't fully permitted at the time. So it's a complicated question. There was huge demand.
And, okay, and I'm not trying to punch in the
No,
face.
and I don't mean to make it sound so brutal, but it's exceptionally challenging to do things.
Yes. And
It's
I
an
know
understatement.
that, yeah. I was trying to get an idea of the demand, and
Yes.
the proof of concept, and I'm really glad we did it as an opportunity to try it out, so that because Mission to Mars is such a great thing, and they were moving back and forth, and it was a big hassle, and Civil Air Patrol needs a space, and that was good. I do remember us saying that we would turn over this space, being open to the idea of meeting at the town hall. I remember that at the last meeting, we were open to that and trying it out with long-term thinking of the warehouse space becoming that entity for serving that need. So,
Any more questions before we go to public
sorry,
comment?
no, go on.
Hey, do we have any public comment on this? We do have public comment.
So I just want to take a minute to thank all of the board and all of the staff. It was probably 2.5 years ago that I had started working with the cadet program, and really we're trying to figure out space. We worked with Stacy at the time on safety on the airfield regarding driving, parents driving on the airfield, cadets marching on the airfield, those types of things. And that was kind of the turning point of thinking of other ways to navigate space. I know that Mary, we met a couple of times. We actually met with Jan for the lift. We went to a number of different entities in the community trying to figure out space, opportunities, those different things, especially when some of the challenges were at place with the EAA. And so I think the biggest thing that I want to comment is I'm incredibly impressed with the board and with the staff in the amount of time, energy, consideration, willingness, passion, all of those things to put that forefront. The cadet program is near and dear to my heart, and I think that for people in our community that are part of our program, and then I will relate that to EAA as well, those who come for the rally and to be able to fly or to be able to be part of Mission to Mars, which is still just an astoundingly successful program. Space is really critical, and consistent space is critical. So I just want to thank everyone for their energy and their time. And it's kind of, I work in the resort world of development, so I get what it's like to work with agencies because things do change on a regular basis. You go in one day and it's one way and it's different the next day. But the fact that you guys put the time and energy into trying to create a solution like the MAF, it's to me, I was like, oh my gosh, it has to go. Like, that's devastating. But you all seem to be taking it as an opportunity to look at where the need was. So I just want to say thank you. And these continuing conversations mean a lot to us as a unit. We do use the meeting space every Thursday. We try to do trainings additionally for cadets other times of the week, whether that's on weekends or weekdays. Our seniors now meet on Mondays because we want them to be available to help on Thursdays. And so we actually haven't been able to be in here and meet most Mondays because it's already booked out. So that's, I think, some of the conversation that's come up with that. Generally, we know Thursdays a year in advance, but some of the training stuff comes up not 6 months in advance, that sort of thing. So I just want to kind of answer that question. We try to be really respectful of the space, and we don't need a lot of extra space. When there was a conversation about cabinets, having a small space to put like some files and clipboards and, just some random things that are available instead of the extra hustle down to the unit, or some insignia for promotions, those types of things would be helpful to have in our space. But we've been working around it also. So I just, once again, want to express gratitude for everything that you all have done. It's really meant a lot. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Any other public comment on this? All right, we'll go to board deliberations. Mary, do you want to continue where you left off?
Yeah, I was just saying, I do remember last month when we were talking about potentially meeting at Town Hall and giving this space till we could move into the warehouse. Whether it's all on Tahoe, Truckee Road, the airport road, and it does not feel like a big deal to meet down there versus here. This space, yeah.
Okay. Kat? Nothing more? Teresa?
I mean, all things being equal, I prefer this space. It doesn't sound like we have a massive demand. They have a couple days a week. There's a couple other things in the summer. We can always move down the street any given month if somebody needs it. I'm not really inclined to cancel or pause or on hold the policy until we don't need a year to figure out what the need is. So I'm not really, I feel like we only have half of it. Do we really need to erase the chalkboard before we come up with a new syllabus? Do you know what I mean? Like, here's the need. Well, I haven't seen the need, so I'm not really inclined to tell all the other people that do use this space that they can't. I'm not saying I'm not open to that, but so far I haven't seen what is that, and can we not work together to do it? Also, the wall, I've never seen the wall closed here, but we never have full seats. Well, is there any reason why we couldn't keep it closed and section off half of it? That half?
Well,
or other things?
Just the camera system and mics and everything else.
And AV, so if we need in here, we need the wall open so we could stream properly and have all the cameras working.
Isn't that the only one on the other side?
There's one back here, one right there.
That's what I mean.
And one
if the wall was closed, that's the only one. It's not that big of a deal, I would assume, to move it.
It's just, if there's two things happening at once, we're on mics, we're on speakers, we're being broadcast, it's loud, it's hard to have another meeting or a party or whatever it might be. So it's hard to double it up.
But show me, like, here's the calendar. Here, it would be so booked out in airfield ways if we changed this or paused it or put it on hold, then I'd be all for it. But I'm not convinced that that's the case. That's it.
Okay. For a few things from me, I agree with Mary. I do remember the conversation where the board, including Greg, felt that this was worth exploring what other opportunities we had for this room. I don't think it's a good investment of $1 million to try to make portables work. So I supported that notion. I don't want the organizations that we're speaking of to be without any accommodations, which is where we're headed with that if we don't do this, or don't do something, excuse me. I don't mind doing the meetings at Town Hall. I understand the value of consistency, so that you say a meeting is on the X number of day every month at this time at this location, so people know where to go for something like that. That said, I feel like my understanding of what this was staff was saying we can't even contemplate changing how this room is going to be utilized with this policy in place because we would be violating the policy. So what the ask was, from my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, is if we rescind this, it doesn't necessarily mean that everything changes. It just means that they have the authority to change or to try something different that we might not, according to the policy, have the authority to do right now. Is that is that fair? Or
Yeah,
am I
that's a fair statement. Otherwise, we'll be in here on a monthly basis talking about prioritization of booking of this room, which is not a timely way to do business.
Okay, yeah, and for that reason, I mean, for the reason that I don't want these groups, I don't want to pay $1 million for modulars. I don't want the groups to end up with no place to meet or do anything. I don't mind us moving. I don't mind rescinding the policy, understanding that it doesn't mean everything changes. It means that things can change. But it still leaves me back at that thought where it's like if the Fly Safe program could work in here and the CTA meeting would have, like, why, I'm not sure why the board meeting would be different. But maybe this is a discussion once we decide that we're making decisions about the use of the room. I don't necessarily see doing this meeting that we would have to then move board meetings out if those other meetings were still planned for this. Because presumably they are also scheduled. And FlySafe is scheduled every month, like this is scheduled every month. So that was I'm just a little bit confused on that. I have no problem rescinding this for a year so we can have conversations about being more creative with our existing spaces. And I'll leave that.
Let me add one more thing. We do a lot of special meetings. I don't recall ever hearing from staff that we can't do it on that day because it's booked. Ever. When we say, how's Wednesday? How's Thursday? You know what I mean? When we'd send maybe Lauren does that when you do the doodle.
I think
I'll say that.
Lauren's pre-rigging the dates that are
Sometimes
available.
it's
I
doodle.
am the one
The
calling
doodle.
the people and displacing them from the room. So we
I
have a
understand.
provision in our policy of our room use is the district business takes priority. So when you guys say, I want to meet next Thursday at 10 a.m. and I have someone in there, I'm calling up that entity and saying, I'm sorry, our board scheduled a special meeting. I'm going to have to find,
That's life.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not saying that's
they
a bad
sign an
thing.
agreement, and if I speak to anyone new, a lot of the people that are using our rooms have been using our rooms for several years. They kind of know the game plan of it. But if I have a brand new entity that comes in, I sort of fill them in and like walk them through. I was like, oh, and by the way,
Okay, so as the keeper of the schedule,
yes.
is it,
Yeah, how many
often is
hours
this-
of a...
how often is it? 50%
and
of the time?
how many hours in a day, how many hours in a month?
I could
Yeah.
pull up the calendar so you can see.
The other thing I thought about was if organizations are displaced from this room, wouldn't a natural place for them to go would be across the street?
I
Wouldn't that be
wrote
good?
that down too, but I thought we'd talk about it in later.
Oh, okay. Like, I mean, maybe that's maybe it doesn't mean they have no place to go. Maybe it means they go to the
Alternative.
An alternative. Or to the rec center.
Anyway.
They have to
Yeah.
pay space. They
Yeah.
have to pay for it there, but
But that's a
So this is the month of August. We're almost done. I block out Wednesdays and this is a past practice, just so even staff could have a place to meet. I block out Wednesdays for TTAD use. And if, I would love for you to even have special meetings on Wednesdays, because I know for sure, it's blocked for us, but I don't get my way all the time. But it's various people. It's AYSO. We have this music garden, which is a preschool age music and movement class. I have retained Civil Air Patrol's Thursday reservation that we have prioritized for them, before the MAF got open. I never removed them from the calendar.
So if we suspend this policy, does this get wiped? They're all out while we figure it out?
No, we are going to sit down with everybody that's currently on the calendar, which only goes through December 31st. Nothing in next year is booked yet, and we begin having a prioritization conversation. and have some creative conversation about the use of this room that we haven't had yet. So we're asking for the flexibility to have those conversations, to reprioritize the use of this room.
I'm just not clear on why we can't have a conversation about the prioritization of this room before we suspend the policy. Is that a legal thing, Josh?
No.
No.
We could structure it how we wish, and we have a lot of flexibility here.
Can't we just say board direction is to go have those conversations and we'll figure it out later? I just don't want to erase this. I mean, this is all good stuff.
We're not erasing that again. Those are on the calendar for this year. It only goes through December 31st. We have elections coming up here in November. We're really talking about December and next year of trying to hold meetings with the people that are using it, talk creatively about how they might want to use this room, and have as much of a clear calendar as we can to prioritize that. So certainly we can have all those conversations, come back and brief a new plan in December. Absolutely. As long as the board isn't going to find us in violation of their policy, not following the policy instruction.
I suppose I would say Lauren's blocking out TTAD and Civil Air Patrol, and if we just say, airfield stuff has priority, isn't it the same conversation? Without suspending this? The only reason I don't want to suspend it is because the people that are using it can't bank on next year.
They currently can't bank on next year with the existing policy.
Yeah, so as of right now, I don't let people indefinitely book year over year. I hold them until December.
I get that.
In the
That's
first
not
week.
what I'm asking.
Yeah,
It's
I
more
know.
of a, couldn't we amend the policy without suspending the policy to say that airfield activity is priority within a 60-day window or something reasonable?
Yeah, I guess as, in order to avoid this long conversation, I was asking to suspend the policy so we're not in violation of the policy. I was asking if the board, as number one user of this room on a consistent basis, was willing to move to another location, which you all gave me the indication you were willing to do in our last discussion. So I wanted to confirm that. And then I wanted the flexibility to have the conversations with all the people and then iterate and evolve and grow in the booking of this room. That will take time. That's what I'm asking for the flexibility to do. If you want to keep the policy in place, as long as there's a provision saying I'm not violating the policy by reprioritizing the use of this room, then I would appreciate that.
Josh said it's not illegal, so that would be my...
Well, I know it's not illegal. It's a board policy, though. I'm trying to follow board policy. That's what the whole discussion today is about. Am I following your policy or not? So I'm trying to follow your policy or rescind your policy or change your
Or
policy.
amend it. I would be in favor of amending it to say airfield stuff has priority in a certain window of time. I'm not really liking the suspension of the policy.
The verbiage, the guidelines in this section are on hold for the calendar year 2027. And the guidelines are that all entities and individuals must reserve the community room a minimum of a week in advance. I'm just trying to understand the guidelines that are being rescinded. I mean, they can still access this room, can't they? Or
If I can suggest we table this, no board action, and we'll come back another board meeting to provide some clarity to this.
Yeah.
Because clearly it's not hitting. So if I can ask for that, that would be maybe more useful.
Because if we're confused, which I'm confused, then
Well, I think
clarity.
part of the problem is that we have a board level policy for the administrative booking of this room, which is inconsistent.
What we're potentially envisioning. What this policy, you're seeing it conflicting with this other idea of using this for other entities.
Okay. Let's table. All right. the restoration of, yeah, sure. You want to take a 5 minutes? We'll do a 5-minute bio break.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. with item number 8, the restoration of noise position. Who takes that?
Good evening, board. So this action item is to restore the noise position. For approximately a decade, we had a full-time noise position. The position is full-time dedicated to noise during the summers. During the shoulder season, the noise position did other things. We repurposed the full-time noise position to noise IT. That person resigned. After that, when we hired our safety security manager, we put noise into that because during the shoulder and winter, it's not a full-time noise position, and tried doing the summer seasonal during that peak. We've done that for 2 summers. Over the past 4 years, effectively, we've gone through 4 noise people. And so what we're asking the board, per policy instruction, I believe it's 113, it's the board's approval to change positions. So we're asking the board to return the position to a regular part-time, which is the equivalent of like a permanent part-time, like the position we have in finance, such that we have the person through the peaks of the summers, and we would change the job description to add the special events piece to give us some flexibility with the other things we do, and to include a communications technician piece because there's some gaps there as well. So that's what we're asking the board to do. Return the noise positions, the position that Riley has right now. She was the event coordinator for the air show. She's doing the noise. So we're asking to turn that into a regular part-time position. It gives us year-round coverage, it gives us continuity, it helps us, it buys down risk when we do larger events, whether it's a noise outreach event, whether it's an air show, a large fly safe event, something to do with STEAM, CTE, youth events. It also gives us a little bit of, it's technician, it's not someone developing the communication plans, but someone to give us a little bit more depth. One of the big lifts we have, we've been talking about doing it for about a year, is creating a new website. We have to do it per the state of California. And this would be one of the big lifts over the winter as well. So that's what we're asking the board to do.
Okay.
And just more, sorry, Director Diamond, did not mean to cut you off, sir. We had more positions on the books. We've removed those positions. So staff has been laser focused on funding the positions that we really, really need instead of having inflated positions, which has happened for years. So we've brought it down. And what I would ask is to provide staff the judgment that is, let's reward the behavior of being really precise with our budgeting and what we need. And if we need to change it, then we grow it again. Speaking very honestly, if we shrink something down and then we need to adjust and flex and we can't get it back, it rewards the behavior of keep it really big and inflated, and we don't do that. So I'm asking some flexibility to provide some trust and judgment, what we believe is the right long-term answer. Director Diamond, thank you for the time, sir.
Sure. Mary, you want to start? Questions?
Yes, questions. Just a clarity, because I was thinking to Lauren's presentation and saying we had 25 and a half employees. Was I wrong in seeing that?
That was in the 25 budget year.
Oh, okay. And so now we have 23 full-time employees according to this report. Okay, thank you. And this is, the other question is, this is a part-time position, but it's full-time in the summer when the need is the greatest?
No, per HR can correct if we're wrong, it's up to 30 hours a week. It can go above 30 hours a week, but my understanding is per the state of California, it's not a full-time position. It can go above 30. If it goes, let's say 35 hours, 34 to 35 are not overtime, so it follows all the same rules, but it's supposed to be no more than, I believe it's 32 hours a week.
Yeah, so per policy, our part-time, permanent, or regular benefited, it ranges between 24 and 30 hours a week, between 4 and 6 hours a day.
That's our policy.
That's our policy. And our policy also defines full-time at 40 hours. So we are able to set that threshold. The state calculates overtime beyond 40 hours in a work week. This position is still able to earn overtime if they happen to have a really intense, like 4th of July holiday week where they're working more than the part-time hours. That is supposed to be rare in this part-time capacity. I think the notion of it being full-time noise is their whole time is dedicated really to noise in a part-time capacity during the summertime. So that will be the priority of that individual's workload in the summer, is responding to noise.
And they're only working 4 to 6 hours a day, or they're working potentially sometimes 8 hours, 3 days of 8 hours? Or is that flexible? Is that up to the person's manager, or is it specific to 4 to 6 hours a day?
So when we say 24 to 30 hours a week, that's taken into like the whole calendar year.
Figure it out.
Yeah. You could have, like, we want all of our employees to kind of stay about 40 hours a week, but you could have an insane week and they're working more. I think it's realistic to understand is we could have a part-time employee that has an insane week and they work above that amount of time, and that isn't breaking any sort of law or regulation. But when we design a part-time regular employee, we really, really, really want it to be part-time. That's the whole point of it.
Teresa, questions?
Yeah. Is this job description new?
Partially. I would say 85% is the same. We've always had a noise position. What we're adding to, we've always had a noise position. The current seasonal is we advertised for noise event coordinator, which is what the current position is. What we're adding to it a little bit is communications technician that could help us doing the website. It doesn't put us sideways because all job descriptions within the district also have or duties as assigned. But if it's going to be something, I'll say somewhat significant, such as a new website, and a lot of it is truly technician coordinator level work that's an hourly employee, that's why we want to add it, because when it snows and we do a snow day update, it's Vince, me, Jill, DV, it can be anyone. This would be somebody that could, send them a text message or, hey, can you update the snow page? Runway's going to open 11. Going through I think we have 170 pages within our webpage, going through that, organizing things to bring back to staff and management as we go through the website design. That's why we're adding communications technician. 85% of it is still the same. We are really following, if you ask me, in my judgment, we don't need to come to the board to this. It's within our budget. It's a really minor change. But the way the policy is written, it was determined we should come to the board, so we're coming to the board.
I appreciate that. I think it's appropriate. Didn't we have a full-time communications person that left last year by
almost 2 years ago? It was
Yeah.
January 25.
And didn't we at that time decide that it was an unnecessary position?
No.
We contracted out the position for the majority of the work, and that contract's still in place.
So this would replace the contract?
It would not.
No.
This is different work.
So this work was being done 2 years ago by someone there was a position for it. And we decided not to fill it, and we got an outside consultant, and now we need more of it back? Or is this just this project of website?
This is very minor level housekeeping, employment, paid time. This is not creating content. This is coordinating across staff, putting things together. It's stuff that I'm doing right now. It's to help me put out the monthly newsletters, to work with our consultant, etc. It's a small piece. When we do the website design, it'll be a huge lift, and having someone on staff that has the flexibility to do that would be fantastic.
So
I don't know that I'm answering your
not to
question.
hit you in the head with the, what'd you say?
Punch me in the face. Go
Not
ahead.
to punch you in the face, but
No.
what are you going to do with your free time if we do this?
I'm gonna go golfing.
You just set yourself up for that one. by
No,
saying you're
I don't
free.
golf. It's a minor lift. We could get rid of
I'm
the.
not debating that.
Yeah, okay. It's a minor lift. The noise technician is to give us the flexibility so don't get sideways with the state of California, such that we have someone that's working 30 hours a week year round with good continuity that does noise full time in the summer, and in the shoulder seasons can help us with some of the communications pieces and parts. They're not determining what is being said. They are not creating the content. They are not creating a communications plan, but they can help coordinate some of those smaller details. And they're also an event coordinator. So if we have an air show next year, or we support the Maker Show, all the other things we're doing, it gives us some capacity at a really low dollar point.
I understand you're trying to sell me on the dollars, and I'm not objecting to the dollars at all. I'm just wondering,
Yeah.
is this new, or is it currently being done here? And if it is, why do we need this? I mean, if we already have this person, we're already paying them, what is the difference? We're just giving them benefits?
It's a seasonal person that
Seasonal.
will expire here shortly at the end of the season, so we won't have anybody covering it in the shoulder season or the winter, so it has to get picked up by the other full-time employees. We could hire another seasonal and try to retrain somebody else to do the same skills, which is involved. We've had, I think, 4 people in that position in the last 4 years.
Yes.
So it's been a high turnover position. The last person that was in that position, we actually morphed the position to include the IT role, to try to train somebody else to take on the IT responsibilities here for the future. That person left for a higher paying job in another state. So we're constantly filling this role with a qualified applicant. And so when we find somebody that is really good at it, that wants to stay longer beyond a season, we're looking for ways to embrace a great employee and keep them here at the district.
That is valuable information. That's
I know.
what I was looking for in an answer. And I do, so to sum up my position, yes, I'll vote for this, but I do want to reiterate that I think it's very appropriate to bring it to the board when you're going to do something like this. That's my position.
Roger.
Questions, Kat?
No questions.
I have a question. Did you go? You went. Oh, okay. The $11,500, which is an increase, is this on like $11,500 more every year that we're at, or it's just $11,500 this year and then next year it becomes a different number?
Yeah, I believe it's the remainder of this year, the additional cost for 2026 to make that a benefited position and additional hours associated with it. Next year, in the next year's budget, we will scope out the entire year's budget and present that to the board.
Okay, but we're thinking just in terms of like the overall fiscal impact. While we're enabling this in the $11,500 for this year, that I understand that. While we're enabling a part-time permanent position, the presumption would be then we are eliminating a seasonal position next year?
Right, we wouldn't hire this seasonal position because we would have the position filled by a full-time, part-time person, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got
So
that.
the additional cost will be benefits next year and additional hours, essentially.
Okay. And then the other question I've got, just for a clarification, would it be fair to say that part of this, your interest in this right now, is because you have a good employee and you're trying to find a path toward keeping that employee.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that echoes my comments earlier.
And if I could just piggyback on that, this is a really difficult position to hire for. During this last hiring, I forget how many applicants. There were 2 that were, I would honestly, hireable. And one of the candidates dropped, the day after, said, I don't want the position. We lucked out with this current employee. It was the only employee. If this employee had not accepted the position, we would have gone out and had to do rehiring. It is very challenging to find somebody that has enough aviation wherewithal, both with the visual flight rules, instrument flight rules, that knows how to talk to people in a really friendly way, that doesn't get upset when they're listening to anywhere, especially in July, 11 to 18 frustrated people, and to be okay with it. So if we have an employee that can do this really well, we should do everything we can to keep them.
Any more board questions before we go to
just
public?
so now Larry is also our noise person. So it's kind of like they're a tag team, or?
Yeah, they work rather directly in doing that. Larry's also the safety and security person as well for the district. So he has a lot of hats he's wearing, and he definitely provides oversight and guidance to this position, which is critically important with his experience.
Okay. And not necessarily a question, but the idea that in July there's 17 to 18 people who are calling in.
On big days, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that are our rate. And again, I will get on my bandstand and say they're canaries in the mine. If they're only getting 17 or 18, you can figure there's 3 times that number. And just kind of always to be aware of that. And Larry's nodding his head, and just to always be aware of that discontent that is out there. And we know it, but sometimes in the numbers it gets lost.
Any public comment on this item? Seeing no public comment, we'll close public comment, go to board deliberations. Kat, you want to start?
I appreciate what you said about shrinking down and then finding the right person to fill the role. And I absolutely trust you to decide who you need and what skills you need.
Mary?
It is a tough position, and I appreciate that someone's able to do it. Larry and this other person, it's tough, but keeping it, acknowledging.
I already gave my 2 cents.
Okay. All right. My position is generally I'm concerned about unicorn type job descriptions, but I understand that at smaller organizations sometimes they're necessary because you can't overgeneralize stuff and then cover all the bases. So I appreciate that. As Kat said, I also recognize that we were there and then we weren't there, and now you're trying to find a path to that. So that's all I would say on that.
I'd also remind everybody that there was discussion a year or so ago about automating this noise thing, and I think everybody on the board said no. We're not gonna, they need to talk to a person. And so this is a really important job. And we all decided that some time ago.
Do we have a motion?
I move to approve an additional regular part-time position to the district's position allocation in the fiscal year 2026 budget, which will be assigned to the proposed noise, event, and communications technician, and approve the updated district wage scale.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? No. Motion carries. Okay, board committee assignments and ad hoc committee reports.
Starting with housing.
Our next meeting is at the end of September. I believe, I'm not sure if you've been notified, but the Truckee Donner PUD turned in their 2-year notice to leave the Workforce Housing Agency, and I received the certified letter for that on Monday. So that is a recent update. I also have been talking with Heidi, and we're going to be, the September 29th meeting, we're going to be receiving the feedback on the feasibility study on the results of the Regional Finance Authority scope. Maybe could be a model for the Workforce Housing Agency to transition to, and we wanted to invite our board president to that meeting. If you're available, it's September 29th at 8:30 a.m. We meet at the school district. So David, you could let us know if you're available or not. If you're not, then Greg could come. If not, any one of you guys can come. I just can't have 3 of you there, 2.
Okay, yeah, I'm available that day. Does anybody else want to go to that? No? Okay. Can you send me that information? Thank you. Do we have any questions for Lauren before we move on to the steering committee? Lauren, I have a question for you. I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you articulate for us why the PUD pulled out of this? They're a significant employer.
Yeah. They have their funding model. They the region, the housing authority. They're not one yet. The goal of the Workforce Housing Agency over the last 2 years has spread to more community-wide. So anyone in the community can access like the concierge services for the Workforce Housing Agency, attend their like educational meetings, and talk to them about home buying navigation. And the PUD, their funding is restricted to their employees only. So for the last couple of years, they've had frictions regarding the direction the Workforce Housing Agency was going, which was more community-wide, and that changed when we accepted the jurisdictional agencies into the agency, because their notion is more community-wide, and the special districts, because of the way we receive our funding, our main priority is our internal employees. And so they've hung around for the last couple of years and waited for our board to try to figure out their goals and the strategic plan, and seeing if there was pathways for projects or developments that they could utilize their funding for internally for their employees. And that doesn't seem to be going that way. And especially if the housing agency goes down into the Regional Finance Authority pathway, which is really only probably available for participants that are jurisdictional, like the town of Truckee, Nevada County, Placer County. They're sort of reading the tea leaves and kind of pulled the trigger and made the decision to leave. It's been something that Steve Ponsley and Brian Wright has talked about openly for years.
Has there been any discussion there? Is there an assumption now that the remaining members will now contribute more to it? To keep it?
For right now, like us, we can only contribute based off of our employee count. So we're restricted in the same way as Truckee Donner PUD because we're a special district. So the burden would then go to the jurisdictional agencies because their focus is community-wide and they're not under the same restrictions regarding the funding. So when you calculate the member fees, they have a component in the calculation for open community sort of engagement, and our formula doesn't include that. It's strictly based off of our employee count.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Lauren other than that? Okay. River revitalization.
No meetings over the past month.
Okay. Easy enough. And then Climate Transformation?
Climate Transformation Alliance, there's an upcoming project incubator workshop on October 23rd. The location hasn't been determined for that yet, whether it's this room or another location. We're working on an insurance forum for the community for a date to be determined, probably after the election cycle, earliest December most likely. We'll invite various insurance professionals in to talk about the scope of insurance and costs from housing to businesses to government agencies, how those things are calculated, what efforts are taking place in the way of wildfire mitigation efforts that influence those insurance rates. And so just putting together that forum, inviting various insurance professionals or government agencies that are involved in that. We're starting to build the program around that. The CTA MOU, there's been a modification of that for the governing partners to invite other governing partners in from the original 3 in order to get more participation from, for example, public agencies of the lake or other organizations that they will be paying members in order to share the cost of CTA across more members to decrease the cost to the individual membership like ours that are the founding members. So we're in an active process of talking to other organizations, principally government organizations, to join CTA as a governing partner. None have been signed on for that yet, but we're just starting this process. And that's all the updates I have for that.
Any questions for Rob? No. Okay, TNT TMA monthly update?
No additional from what's on there.
Okay. Do we have any public comment on this item? Nothing more from the board? We're done. Let's go to the district council report.
Thanks, President Diamond. We're sort of in the home stretch for the legislative cycle. Last day for bills to get out of both houses is the end of this month. There's one bill I wanted to mention I don't think we've talked about previously, and it's AB 1383. This would be the biggest change to public pensions in California since PEPRA in 2013, and would make substantial changes to benefits received largely by public safety employees. That, of course, wouldn't affect us as a district. But what would affect us is there's a provision in the bill which would change the cap, the maximum cap for pensionable income under PEPRA. This has been a driver in a lot of the increased in funding percentages for PERS and other public pensions. And this change would increase that cap. That would make more of higher salaried employees more of their income pensionable, and result in higher contributions from both employers and employees. Given the implications on the funding, really all of the major local government groups have come out in opposition to the bill. Folks like League of California Cities, CSAC, CSTA. I was hoping to let you know where the bill would land, because there actually was a hearing this afternoon in Sacramento to see if the bill was going to make it out of the Senate. But we'll definitely know by your September meeting where that's going to land. Happy to answer any questions. I'm sorry?
What's the number again?
1383.
Questions for Josh? Okay, thank you, Josh. And then the general manager's report.
Just a couple of highlights on strategic plan goals. There are 3 goals I've moved in from what we expected to be able to achieve this year. I've moved those. Those aren't board goals, but our plan on how to achieve those goals. I've moved those that are highlighted on the attached report for strategic plan update into 2027 because I don't see them possibly being completed this year. So that is one update in there. I have a number of rolling agenda items coming up here to make the board aware. Of course, we have the airport office building, hoping we'll discuss that in closed session today. We have vacant land sale. We did get the FAA's approval to move forward with that land sale with no rights of the FAA withholding any furtherance of that proposed purchase and sale agreement with the town of Truckee. It's approximately 12.7 acres. We're working on surveying the property. I'm going to work with legal counsel to get the HUD certification, which should be an exemption for the airport district. And then we'll start working on a draft purchase and sale agreement to hopefully have the board in the next 2 months here as we finalize that process and sale with the town of Truckee for the vacant property that we have. We have a budget workshop coming up next Thursday. It'll be the first one. Liza will talk in her report about scheduling some time for individual one-on-one meetings for pre-briefs associated with our 2027 budget. We have PI 507 coming up as something the board asked us to update, and then PI 311 are the new numbers will be associated with that split policy and two policies based on the last board's workshop guidance. We're working on updating those two new policies. And that's all I had for updates.
I have a question. Can you put back that one right there. So what got moved to next year?
It's on the previous slide. It's highlighted and has, if you look through here, under the text and the highlights of green and yellow, the X's, I've highlighted a little further down. Expected MSA a little further down. Up.
Are those it?
It's another page up, didn't we?
Yeah. Sorry, go up.
Up. Right there?
We have the grant requirements. Let me page through it while we move on, if it's okay, and I'll come back and comment on that just to highlight those more specifically. I had text in the text there that I'll pull up.
Okay. Jeff?
Well, a couple highlights from the AVCOM. Lauren, could you please put there's like a block there that has the jet weight percent change. No, up, sorry. Yeah, right there under Director of Aviation. Thank you. So July was busy, 7% overall increase in traffic, 79% increase in helicopter traffic. That was due to the fires. But what I wanted to call your attention to is what really changed was some of the dynamics of the fleet mix within jet traffic. So I have a small table, jet weight percent change, and then I just did the raw number, 25 to 26. So small jets under 12,500 was a 42% decrease. It went from 176 to 102. Your small medium jets, 12.6 to 20,000 pounds, 18% increase. 20 to 49.9, a 22% increase. And then greater than 50,000 pounds, a 15% increase. So overall, 7% increase, and within the jet mix, more larger jets. Yep. That matches our fuel sales, that matches our ramp fees. So we had more jet traffic come here. We charged more landing fees, we charged more ramp fees, and we sold more fuel. I don't know why, but it was a busy July. So. In terms of fly quiet, July over July, very similar numbers. I think we were within 2% in terms of complaints across the community, some due to helicopter and quite a few due to jet. Successful Fly Safe seminars. We also did a Rusty Pilot seminar this past weekend, which was sponsored by Aircraft Owners and Pilot Association. We have some flying clinics coming up. We just completed Mission to Mars. We did art at the airport in October. We're partnering with the town and the Truckee Cultural Arts District to do a 1 month dark skies art within the airports. We'll be out at the Park and Rec pool on September 5th as they celebrate their 10-year anniversary. As you recall, the airport board supported them with the roof, and we'll also be at the community block party on September 17th. And I'd also like to point out during the social media posts we did on the fires. One of our videos got over 500,000 views, which blows it all other views out of the water. And we had about 5,000 followers. With the postings we had over the Hawk Fire, we went from 5,000 to 7,000 followers. So we increased our followership by 2,000, which is significant. So standing by, any questions?
Any questions for them?
Not a question, but again, a comment in terms of people are feeling that big bump on the shift to the heavies, and it's a heavy impact. Don't know what we can do about that, but awareness, chief pilots, and talking, trying to sell smaller jets, smaller footprint.
I have a question for you, Jeff. So if we're seeing a mix of larger jets, and I know I don't know the statistics. I'm making an assumption on the statistics. These aircraft are more likely to be using the FAA's option for opting out of showing who ownership is on this. Have we had any issues, or are we also blind to who the ownership is in case we have to notify somebody about overflying or anything like that, or do we know how to contact them?
It sometimes takes a little longer, but to date, we have been able to contact them, the flight departments, the chief pilot. Sometimes it's going through a trust with a couple phone calls to a trust, and then we finally talk to the human that's either the pilot or is, knows the pilot or is the operating the account. But we've been able to, because of Vector, and they have really good billing data and information, and when they charge landing fees, we recoup 99%. So that data has been very useful to us.
Thank you. Finance. Liza.
All right, so the packet shows our year-to-date numbers through July. So a little bit over half of the year. To echo Jeff, it was a busy month. We had excess revenues for pretty much everything with the FBO. The fuel gross revenue was ahead of budget by $330,000. 100 low lead, that was pretty similar as far as gallons sold, but SAF was up 25%. The low lead cost of goods sold are remaining steady to budget. Net fuel revenue overall, we were better than budget by over $320,000 just for revenue sales. FBO non-fuel, again, to his point, we were over with ramp fees, landing fees, overnight tie downs to the tune of $420,000 over budget. So hangar revenues, we are back in line with budget for the hangar revenue side of things. We've caught up with the increase that we budgeted, and it came in a little bit later, but now we're in line with budget there. We do have an under budget amount in other lease revenues, and that's due to we had a budget for the JSX space in the summer when we thought they were coming, and of course they're not here. So we will continue to be a little bit under budget in that category. Other income, which is property tax, we're ahead of budget by $130,000 for the year so far. Pretty much, I don't even know, 95% of what we will receive in 26 has been received. So that should remain throughout the rest of the year, and we're about $700,000 over last year at the same time. Interest income, we are actual $450,000 versus a budget of $216,000, and ahead of 2025 by about $250,000. So overall, from a profit standpoint and an income standpoint, we're ahead of budget by almost $1.3 million in revenues alone. The fuel sales, this gets, again, I don't like this graph. I need to create something better, only because it compares to last year, and last year was wonky. But it's showing we're doing better than last year as far as fuel sales go. These graphs reiterate that same story. Fuel purchased year over year, remains consistent with, in line with last year, just above, and then same as the revenue, year over year. Expenses, this is pretty much the same story as it has been all year. We're under budget with most expenses. Same story with JSX. We had 4 seasonal summer positions to support JSX. That's not here. Those positions are not filled, so we'll be under budget there. G&A, we're under budget about $460,000 so far through the year. I don't necessarily expect that story to remain. I think a lot of that is IT related items that we haven't paid for yet that I budgeted for earlier in the year. So I think that's just a timing situation. Next year, I'll know when these invoices come in, and I'll budget better in the monthly slots going forward. Let's see, R&M, that's been the same story too. Vince and team have been in go mode for this busy summer. So as we wound down in operations, he'll be able to focus and spend the dollars that he has budgeted operationally and in the reserve categories. Community benefit, we're pretty close to budget there. Our final air show cost did come in, so we're $11,000 over budget overall for the air show. And then the rest of the buckets are showing as they sit up there. Let's see, reserve, already mentioned that. That's broken down where we've spent, and again, I expect that to catch up through the end of the year. So overall, bottom line, we're $2.4 million ahead of budget from a net income standpoint. The revenues are what they are. Those will remain. They will stay over budget. Expenses, I do expect some of those to catch up operationally with IT and so forth, and then R&M. And then some notes from the department. We met with the Cal class guy. They were offering some new fixed rate accounts. So we did put $10 million in a fixed rate 12-month account at a 4.14 rate. So as rates fluctuate, hopefully not above that, we'll remain at that rate for 12 months on the $10 million. Paystand, we have transitioned to Paystand, which is the new payment processing system for tenants, hangar payments. That is alive and well, and people have signed up, and it seems to be working. The old system is still alive and well as we remind those folks to transition over and close that account and do the new one. I'm guessing we'll have to do a live manual reach out to some of those folks and sort of hold their hand through that process a little bit, those folks on auto pay. But it's working, and I've heard good things so far. So if you experience something different, let me know as a tenant. NetSuite, we had a meeting this week about reserve items, and it's like this beast that is really hard to tame. It's just a lot of information, and how to record that information accurately is a difficult task. And we have the reserve report that y'all saw from a couple of years ago, and it's like 300 pages long, but it's pages, right? It's paper and it's PDF, so it's not something we can go in and say, the roof for this building was supposed to be replaced next year. We don't need to do that for 5 years. Let's go change that so it's more accurate. We can't do that. It's just a PDF. So we're trying to figure out the best way to track what's really going on compared to what the report says they thought would be going on. So internally, the department is looking at utilizing NetSuite to create something that's a trackable system, so we can say this is what we actually did with that roof, and this is how much it cost, and this is when you said to replace it, but we replaced it this year, kind of a thing. So it's really just tracking what's actually going on for each of those components and tying it back to that report. So we're working on that within the system that we have. And then I didn't put this note on here, but the budget one-on-ones that were mentioned, we have a meeting next week to talk about the draft budget. We met this week internally to go over the first draft. So we'll finalize, I need to make some more changes. We'll finalize internally the draft budget by the end of the week, and I'll send it out. And then I was going to reach out to each one of you and see if you'd like to sit down like we did last year, one-on-one before the workshop, to go through some of the details instead of trying to do all of them in one session together. So I'll be reaching out to you guys this week to try to schedule something next week if you want to do Let's see. So that's the monthly report there, and then the other report I always give, that the pages are the graphs, just sort of allocating expenses and revenues, just to give you a visual to show what's coming in versus what we're spending. Those are the same month over month. The one piece, if you go, I think, to page 3 or 4, Lauren, that's the income statement. We just kind of went over that. The balance sheet, I just wanted to point out a few things there. $23 million in the cash accounts showing. Of that, there's $17 million in CalClass. There's $5 million with LAIF. And those rates are very, very similar. And then the balance of that is in Wells Fargo. Accounts receivable, that's $618,000. That, again, I mentioned this last month, but that increased even more, and that's because of Vector. The fees associated with landing and ramp fees, they were so high in July, so that AR went up. It's nothing alarming. It was a big month, so that money should start coming in. And then the long-term receivable, that's the deferred pension. And then the other one, the prepaid, that's all insurance. And everything else is straightforward. The loan payable, the $10 million, that's the apron A2 and the executive hangar loans. Liabilities, the $2.9 million, that's pension. That's mostly just the pension liability. And then some miscellaneous payroll accruals for the end of the month. And everything else, the unearned liability, those are the deposits on the hangars, refundable as people move out. Everything else, I think, on there is pretty straightforward. And then the last page is just our capital, letting you guys know what capital dollars have gone out and where they're going, projects that Vince and his team are working on. The top section is what we're showing is budgeted for those, and then the descriptions are on the left, and then on the right are dollars that we've spent. In specific, I'm just spelling out what those dollars have gone for. So, any questions on the financial information?
Nope, no questions. Hey, Mary? Questions for Liza?
Yep.
Do we have any public comment on any of the reports?
If I could ask Vince to make any ops comments. I know he had a couple things he wanted to brief the board on, and then I want to go back to strat plan to cover Teresa's question.
Okay.
Kind of a glamorous project we got going on. You can see it there. It's the ramp lighting replacement. We're swapping out our sodium vapor lights all across the ramp for LEDs. And what that means for us is probably immediately 60% savings in power, probably twice the maintenance life on them. Full color spectrum, so instead of just seeing orange out there and not being able to see oil leaks, you can actually see oil leaks. There'll be motion detecting, so that 60% power savings will probably get closer to 70% power saving. It's one of the few things that touches all four corners of the strategic plan with the economic, operational efficiency, natural resources, and community considerations. So it's kind of an exciting project, and we look forward to it. It's going to have a big impact. If you stand away from the field right now and look at the ramp lights at night, you can see not only all the lights lit up, but you can see the glow from the lights in the community. When these lights are operating and installed, you won't be able to see them from a distance. You'll literally only be able to see the light that's on the ground if you're on the ground looking at it. So exciting to see this thing get installed. We'll probably see it in the next 3 or 4 weeks. Wanted to point out some of our involvement with fires lately. There's Bug and Stallion and Hawk. There's been 4 events where the aerial firefighting community was moving faster than their support could, so they asked us to fuel at night. It's not something we do, it's not something we're set up to do, it's something we really have to flex internally to make happen. It's a stress for our staff. Somebody's either going to come in on their day off or they're going to extend their day. Yale, for example, worked about a 15-hour shift to fight the bug fire. Mike Ketron comes in on his day off. Really, the team is extending themselves and going above and beyond to assist with this, so worth noting and pointing out.
Okay. Any board questions for anybody on that? thanks to your staff for the overnight stuff. That's fantastic. Okay.
I'll go back to the strat plan. Just page 4, item 1C2A is the first one. I'll wait till she pulls it up. Page 4, 1C2A. See a note, move to 2027. This is the conducting a regional study. I don't think we have the bandwidth this year to get that done. If we contracted today, the contractor couldn't get it done and turned around probably this year.
That's
so that's
2B?
one. I'm sorry?
2B? Because you said 2A.
2C2A with the note says move to 2027.
Oh, the impact study. Yeah. Got it.
Right. On page 10, there were 2 items. 2B, 2B. You see a footnote on 2B, 2B, move to 2027, and 2B, 2C. These have to do with our sustainable aviation fuel, looking for other domestic sources rather than where it's blended here in the U.S. We've met with some sources in the past. Given our existing contractual arrangements, I don't see a viable substitute contractually or available in the market this year. So those are ones I've moved in 2027 is the soonest reasonably we could address our contracts and secure supply that would meet our demands. That's all.
I have a question in terms of the budget here that we'll be doing next Thursday. Last year there was like, what's our wish list and kind of trying it to strat plan. Are we taking what you're doing and then at this meeting, are we supposed to bring in our ideas tied to this, or will that come at another budget hearing that will bring in our plans?
I expect in the one-on-one meetings, we will review a draft 2027 budget based on kind of rolling numbers forward, the increases we have across various fees or expenses expectations, and be able to present what we think without any board guidance in our one-on-one meetings, what that looks like. Get feedback individually. We'll have some staff recommendations that we'll brief of areas to save, additional areas we want to spend on, our capital plan. But at the workshop itself, we'd be looking for guidance from the board as a whole of what constraints you would like to see or opportunities you'd like to see us pursue that either are in alignment with the strategic plan or are new developments you would like to see. So definitely looking for that on September 3rd on that Thursday workshop, number 1.
Great, bringing in our list. Thanks.
Okay. Future agenda priorities and meeting management. Can we to make this publicly known because of any confusion on that we don't know at what point in time Mary's last meeting will be and Craig Rowe's first meeting will be until Nevada County. Can you explain this?
Sure. So we understand the county will be canceling the election just because there were only 2 folks who submitted and qualified. And so, in past years, it's been, the results of the election were not known by the time we had our December meeting. And so sometimes the incumbent remained until that was decided. This year, we're still in the process of confirming with county elections, but we anticipate the Board of Supervisors will formally cancel the election prior to that meeting. And we will be able to seat the new directors or new director at the December meeting. But that's our understanding as of today, and we're working to confirm and finalize that. And Lauren, I appreciate all your efforts on that.
But just for clarity on the December meeting, Mary will come to that meeting regardless.
We don't know that. It's possible that the new director may be sworn in and seated by the December meeting. That's what we're working to confirm.
Okay. All right. Anything else on rolling agenda that you wanted to talk about?
No, it sounds like the most likely scenario would be October would be Director Heatherton's last official meeting, and December would be Director Rowe's first official meeting if I'm reading all the tea leaves, I'm hearing correctly without guessing.
And it would be the beginning of Mary Hetherington's monthly public comments, where she will let loose for the first time in 20 years.
Oh, I think I've let loose.
The rest of the items on the rolling agenda, the ones I briefed, are in the rolling agenda for our next meeting.
Okay. All right, so we are going to adjourn now to closed session, which means for those who are here, you don't need to go home, but you can't stay here.